It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks 94.5. Pat Smith, Molly Robinson, Landrum Roberts, Conrad Van Order with you until 2 o'clock. Plenty to get into on this cold, getting a little warmer on this Thursday. Sean Merriman, former All-Pro linebacker, the San Diego Chargers. It was before they went to L.A., Conrad, so it is San Diego. I am right. You're looking at me like I said it wrong.
No. I remember his days in San Diego very well.
Yep, an outstanding linebacker. He's going to join us at 10:15 as we're going to break down the NFC and the AFC championship games coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Rodney Orr will join the program at 12:30, our last weekly appearance. The Southern Gentleman, Brett Noseworthy. It wraps up the football season.
It does.
I'm sure
Brett's just my favorite, though.
If we call him, if we text him, he would come on at a moment's notice.
I'm very interested in his bold prediction for the 2025 season.
For 2025?
Because, of course, I mean, it's January, so, you know, there's only so much speculation we can do. But he always has very, very insightful, bold predictions.
Well, speaking of that, and we won't get into it in this segment of the show, but a little bit later, along with everyone's copying us, Molly. Every time I turn around, everyone's got these early preseason predictions coming out.
Pat, we're just trendsetters.
That's right. We started this last year. Now everybody's throwing out their top 10, top 15, 20, 25, whatever the case may be. Joel Klatt has got a very interesting top 10 for 2025. We won't get into it now. We'll save that for a little bit later, but man.
He's been on a little bit of a, I don't know if I'd call it a hot streak lately, but he's been on a streak lately.
He's been on definitely a streak. That's for sure. But we start with a very interesting night in college basketball in the Southeastern Conference. So let's start in Columbia, South Carolina, where the number 5th team in America, the Florida Gators, they go on the road. It looked like South Carolina was going to get their first win in conference play. Not so fast, my friend. Gators guard Will Richard, game winner with 5 seconds remaining. Florida wins it by a point, 70-69. Florida is now 17-2. They tie for the best 19-game start in Florida basketball history. That is amazing to think of the kind of start that they have jumped out to. The Gamecocks, unfortunately, Conrad, they are now 0-6.
Yeah, definitely. That one is going to sting because, again, this is going to be a common theme in the games from last night. They were all excellent, but you had a Florida team that was essentially trailing for 39 minutes and 55 seconds of this basketball game. And then Will Richard comes through at the very end and they take the lead at the end. And it was, you know, so devastating for a program like South Carolina. You mentioned 0-6 now in the SEC, the only team left that's winless in conference play. And again, it's kind of crazy how from year to year things shift. And we talked about Missouri and how good their season's been when last year they didn't win a single SEC game. And last year, you know, South Carolina was a solid squad. And now here you are in the cellar of the SEC. And as we know, it's going to be a gauntlet the rest of the way. So they got some work cut out for them.
All right. So you mentioned the fact that they're in the cellar by themselves. And the reason why, man, what a bad beat last night, Landrum. I mean, seriously, like I had Georgia +1. And I think Brian Edwards had Georgia like +1.5 or something like that. And I could at least gotten a push last night. So Arkansas goes to the free throw line. They hit the first one. Then he misses the second one. They're up by 1. So I'm going to get a push. So I'm going to get something back, right?
Yeah.
You could tell he missed the free throw on purpose, which was smart.
It was.
Because they were going to have to go with 1.8 seconds left. They were going to have to literally heave it the length of the court.
Correct.
To win the game. So I did not have a problem with that. I had a problem with the fact that Georgia didn't box out. That's why I had a problem. Because if you saw the film or if you saw the video of the clip, he missed it on purpose, falls off the front of the rim. Oh, he grabs it and then lays it in for an easy layup. And then lo and behold, they win 68-65. And they cover, and I don't cover.
It's amazing if you look at the stat sheet. Georgia once led by 15.
Oh,
we had an outing last night, and I got in the car and immediately I looked at the score and I said, "All right, Georgia handled their business early." I think the score was maybe 25-12 in the first half, and then following the game, first of all, Arkansas was absolutely horrible from outside.
Mhm.
And shooting 13%, 3 of 23. That's pretty solid. And then you look at all the other statistical categories, with the exception of rebounds. You just talked about the block out, but both teams high in turnovers. Maybe it was just one of those things that thinking that there's just no way that Arkansas can lose 6 straight to open up conference play and to do it at Bud Walton Arena. So maybe the world got righted a little bit. I don't even know how to quantify that.
Towards the back end of the game, if you watch the game, Georgia just played sloppy.
Yep.
They were turnover after turnover. They could not hit free throws. And that was the difference. I mean, the Hogs were 29 of 34 from the free throw line for the game. I mean, that's almost 86%. They had a 10 rebound advantage over Georgia last night. And
49 fouls.
33-16 in second chance points by the Hogs. So
that'll do it for you.
Yeah, they get the win 68-65. So they're no longer in the cellar of the Southeastern Conference. Meanwhile, it was a barn burner over at the Pavilion, the second largest crowd in the history of Ole Miss basketball in the Pavilion last night. Your boy Buzz Williams goes over there.
Who was it? Yo? I bet she was beside herself.
Probably was. And then the Rebels had a colossal meltdown. I mean, that's just the only way you can say it. They led by 8 with 3 minutes and 49 seconds to go in that basketball games, and they just let it slip away. Ole Miss failed to get a single field goal in the last 3 minutes and 49 seconds of that basketball game. A&M hits a big one towards the end, and the Aggies get out of there with a huge road win against Ole Miss. So now Ole Miss has lost their last 2.
Yeah, it's just, again, we were talking about it on Morning Jocks this morning, just how wild it is. You know, a week ago, we were talking about Ole Miss going to Tuscaloosa, getting that big win over a top 5 Alabama team on the road. And, oh, man, that, it was a very impressive win. And then you follow it up. You have the overtime loss to Mississippi State. And then what happens last night against Texas A&M and another game very reminiscent of what we talked about with Florida, South Carolina. Texas A&M didn't lead until the last 15 seconds of the game, 10 seconds of the game, and they hit the big 3. And then Ole Miss, who had an opportunity at the very end of the final possession to score and win the game, and they just start fumbling the ball around, can't get a good look at the rim, and ultimately Texas A&M holds on. But it just goes to show how brutal life can be in the SEC, where a week ago you're at the top of the mountain, and now after back-to-back losses, you're looking for some answers.
Yeah, Malik Dia, we know the night that he had in Coleman Coliseum, where he went for a double-double at least. He had 23 points. Last night, remember the prop that I shared with you guys from Prize Picks, that the more or less was 12 points? Last night he had 12 points.
How about that?
Isn't that weird?
It's funny because Mark Sears had 21 the other night, and it was 21
and a half.
Yeah.
Again, there's a reason why there's big buildings.
They got this thing figured out for the most part.
I mean, seriously, when we're all sitting there going, now hold on a second. Now Arkansas is a favorite against Georgia,
right?
And they just lost their best player for the season, but they're favorite. Like what? What?
Yeah.
Oh, this is easy money, right?
Yeah, and then if you tell me that Arkansas is going to shoot 3 for 23 from outside the arc, be double digits in turnovers, they know what they're doing.
There's no question about that.
Tip of the cap to you fellas and ladies, whoever figures this stuff out.
So you've got 9 of the 16 teams. I think this was the stat you and I were talking about this morning on Morning Jocks, Conrad. 9 of the 16 teams have at least 15 wins.
Yes, in the SEC.
In the SEC.
Remarkable.
Isn't that crazy? 9 of the 16. And then you've got a handful of others that's already got 14 wins. Back in the day, if the magic number was 20, like if you somehow, whether non-conference and you include your conference wins, if you can get to 20, you're in the conversation for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore.
And if you're Auburn, you're looking at this as, could we get to 30?
Yeah. I mean,
which would be remarkable.
You need to at least be in the neighborhood of 23 to 25 wins. Because I've seen, obviously, UAB has been on the short end of that stick before.
Yeah.
When you've had that many wins, and you got to go win your conference tournament, or you're not even in the conversation.
I mean, I feel like the year that Alabama got in with Colin Sexton, they had that game, the buzzer beater over A&M in the first round. I don't even think they won 20 games that year, and they were still able to get in the tournament, and it's completely changed now.
Yeah, very much so. So it will set up a very interesting weekend of college basketball, including the big one in the SEC as Tennessee comes to Auburn. That is a 7:30 tip. You can hear the game right here on Jocks 94.5. That is the big one in the SEC on Saturday.
And you guys were talking about South Carolina, another heartbreaking loss. If you're Lamont Paris, what are you telling your team?
You almost had Auburn. You should have beat Florida. The number 1 team you should have knocked off, and the number 5 team you should have knocked off.
Well, and then you lost by 3 at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But it also, I think, goes to show, wow, yes, you are. I mean, that is mentally very taxing on the team, the players, and the coaching staff. You also look at it and go, man, they're the worst team in the SEC, and they've almost beaten 2 of the top, 3 or 4 teams in the conference. It's remarkable.
That just means that Nashville is going to be nuts.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great.
I mean, you better have your seed locked up in the NCAA tournament before you go to Nashville.
Get all the hay in the barn before you go to Music City.
Yeah, because if you think that you're going to go up there and, we'll run the table. We'll win 2 or 3, get us in the tournament. No. You could be bounced out in round 1, especially if Arkansas gets this thing respectable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the most impressive thing, Pat and Conrad and Molly, about the schedules, and you mentioned the double-digit wins that we see from how many teams in the SEC? 9 of the 18? Is that right?
9 of the 16 have at least 15 wins.
So when you think about that, in years past, it was front-loaded schedules that were a lot of quad 3s, some quad 2s, the occasional quad 1, but there's actual substance to these schedules. This is not smoke and mirrors with what they've done on the front end, and then the competitiveness, as we've already seen it last night by evidence. 3 games decided by a combined, 4 points?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because if you look at this morning's net rankings, so Florida's a top 5 team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 team, number 5. If I were to tell you that Ole Miss has more quad 1 wins than Florida, would that not make you think for a second?
It's a little surprising, but that's basketball.
Florida's only got 4 quad 1 wins. Ole Miss has 5.
Meanwhile, Auburn's got like 17
or
whatever.
They got 10.
Florida's a really good basketball team this year. The thing that would bother me as a Florida fan is the black cloud that's kind of hanging over the program with your head coach and an assistant potentially.
Texas A&M has more quad 1 wins than Alabama. Sorry, Conrad.
For now.
Oh, okay. I'm just pointing it out for you.
No, I know. Well, as Pat laid out for you, you do have a great slate of basketball coming up this weekend. Of course, Auburn, Tennessee, the headliner. Alabama taking on LSU at Coleman as well. And we're in that situation again. Both games going to be tipping off at 7:30 on Saturday. Well, you can go to Twin Peaks and Hoover, and that's not going to be a problem for you because they're going to have plenty of screens for you to watch both Alabama and Auburn on the hardwood at the same time, all while enjoying a wonderful, refreshing 29-degree man-sized draft. Check out their cocktail menu as well, a number of craft beer options for you. So get into Twin Peaks and Hoover this weekend to catch all the SEC hoops. And again, don't worry about those simultaneous tip-off times because they're going to have plenty of screens to have you covered. They also sponsor our poll question here on the show each and every day. And Molly, what is our question on this Thursday?
So our question involves the viewership of the national championship, which averaged about 22.1 million viewers, which is down from last year's game between Washington and Michigan, which averaged 25. So we ask, what was the main reason why the championship game was down 12% in one of the least viewed title games of all time? Options we gave you: there's no Cinderella team, the season was too long, the inauguration, or the lack of SEC teams. Right now, winning with 47.2% is the lack of the SEC, 35.2% voting for the season too long, 16.1% saying the inauguration, and only 1.5% saying there was no Cinderella.
Interesting. You can go vote at the 3-Man Front Twitter site. We will get into that conversation a little bit later in the show, why we think that the ratings were down as much as it was. But coming up next on 3-Man Front, Sean Merriman, former All-Pro linebacker for the San Diego Chargers, longtime NFL career, including the Buffalo Bills. He will join us next here on 3-Man Front.
10:18, three-man front here on this Thursday. Landrum, Conrad, Molly, Pat. Hope everyone's doing well. Just recapping a night of SEC basketball. We got NFL Football Championship Sunday coming up, NFC, AFC, and joining us, a guy who did it very, very well for a long time. Great career in the NFL. Sean Merriman, former linebacker with the Chargers and the Bills, respectively. Sean, how are you? Welcome in.
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Sean is joining us courtesy of our friends at betonline.ag. This Sunday, I know for you, you're probably partial. Now, we love the NFL here in this part of the country. We also love our college football. Do you enjoy Championship Sunday maybe more than Super Bowl Sunday, Sean?
It's the build-up for me, right? And what it took for everybody to get here. I think the Super Bowl is more like the show, right? It's the movie build-up. It's the big release. Right? But in order to get there right now, you want to see these guys fight and they scrap for every single inch, and it gets nasty under the pile, and they're diving. Like it's a little bit different. I think in the Super Bowl, it's the show, right? It's just like a big movie build-up. But the real grind, man, is these championship weekends.
Yeah, and we've got a great set of games coming up on Sunday. AFC title game. We get the Bills, a franchise you're very familiar with. Your last two seasons in the NFL spent there in Buffalo at Kansas City. Sean, it's interesting that it seemed like Kansas City was everybody's darling, whether it was the storyline of the franchise getting that Super Bowl finally, Andy Reid as the head coach and searching for that first Super Bowl. Now that we've seen it a few times and their dominance in the NFL, now the sentiment has kind of changed. And the Buffalo Bills, we know that they have been searching for that elusive Super Bowl, and of course the 4 straight losses in the Super Bowl that I remember when I was growing up. But this game is intriguing. I don't know if anybody really saw what we had last Sunday with the Ravens and the Bills, but 2.5 points, that seems like a very, very small line. Who do you like in this game, and kind of go in depth on the Buffalo Bills and what they could offer there at Arrowhead?
You know, I said beginning of the season, and then again right before the Ravens game against the Bills, I said this is the Bills' year. It's they're primed to do that. And sometimes when you've been there so many times, you begin to be seasoned, right? The moment is not too big. You know how critical it is every snap and every play. Because when you're young and you haven't been there, you don't know. You think you know, but you don't fully know and understand what's on the line. Right, you haven't grasped the fact that when you lose this game, you are done and you're getting ready for next year. Josh Allen knows now. He's been here enough in these times, know how big and important it is. And two, let me say this: the Bills are the most balanced team in football, and that's why they beat the Ravens. Right, they can hurt you in so many different ways, whether they're running the football with Cook or that touchdown in the back of the end zone with Ty Johnson. They're spreading the ball around to so many different guys. It's hard to game plan them. I got the Bills winning this game as well, man. And I say this respectfully to the champs when you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, but they've shown too many holes in their game during the season, right? The doink field goal, the block field goal, the box snap against the Raiders. There's been so many times during the game that they should have lost this year. I think the Bills go back, look at that film, look and see what hurt them in this game, what the other team had success, and really exploit that part of the game, man. So I'm looking forward to that.
So, Sean, I wanted to ask you a little bit about maybe the mental side of this, particularly for a guy like Josh Allen, who over his career now, he's 4-1 against Mahomes and the Chiefs in the regular season, but 0-3 against them in the postseason. What do you think is the difference there? Obviously, the pressure being in the postseason, it's win or go home, so the stakes are much higher, but it's just kind of fascinating how it seems like Josh Allen has no problem in the regular season taking care of the Chiefs, and obviously they beat them earlier this season, but for some reason, when it comes to the postseason, the Bills just haven't been able to get over their hump. So what makes it about the mental side of it that makes that so difficult?
It's the margin of error, man. I think that the Chiefs have embarked to a point now where they are capitalizing off of every mistake that anyone makes. And I don't care if that's a jumping off sides and throwing the ball down the field, a pass interference call, a false start, illegal, whatever they get, they're capitalizing. If they're extending downs, they're going down and scoring. That's what the Bills cannot do, and they cannot give the Chiefs and Mahomes another opportunity, whatever that opportunity looks like. They can't keep giving him a new set of downs by making mistakes because they will capitalize on it. That's why the Chiefs been winning later on in the season, the playoffs. That's why they could potentially be on their way to a three-peat, because these guys in these situations will go down and make you pay for any mistake that you make, and the Bills cannot let that happen.
Sean, as a former player, and you're still a fan of the league, and you watch the games, but do you agree that the center is there real Chiefs fatigue, or do you think that everybody's pulling for them just to see how many they can win?
No, I think that they're getting the Patriot syndrome. I think that the same thing that happened to Patriots in those early 2000s, mid 2000s, late in the 2010s, where these guys were so good, they just won so much, people wanted to see them lose. I think that's what the Chiefs are walking up to. And God forbid they go and get a three-peat, because they will be the most hated team in the NFL of all time, even more so than the Patriots were in their runs. Because people sometimes will just show up to lose, to see you lose because you're so good. I believe that's what the Chiefs are getting to at this point.
All right, Sean, looking at the other side of things here, we have the AFC, which we just talked about with the Bills and the Chiefs. But on the NFC side, we have the Eagles. I don't think anybody's super shocked to see the Eagles back in this spot, but the Commanders, kind of maybe the Cinderella story so far, and what Jaden Daniels has been able to do at the quarterback spot here in his rookie season. So I kind of just wanted to get your thoughts on Jaden Daniels and what he's meant to the Commanders, and Dan Quinn taking over that organization and putting them in this position. And do you view them as is the Cinderella run over, or are they a legitimate threat not only to beat the Eagles, but potentially win the entire thing?
People won't admit it, but I don't think most people believe that the Lions were going to lose against them. Right? I don't think no one actually believes that the Commanders were the better team coming into that game against the Lions, and they proved them wrong. The Commanders they've been playing loose all year, going for it on fourth down situations, doing things to really set themselves up. And I don't think that they're going to switch this point. This is why they're playing in the championship game, because these guys just go out there and they play freely. Jaden Daniels, he doesn't do anything like a rookie. You look at him, his mannerisms, him getting hit. He's not ever flustered. He's not ever confused. He's just in the moment, and no moment scares him. So that's the biggest issue that you got to worry about if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. Can we rattle this guy? And the answer so far has been no.
So continuing on with that real quick. So with Jaden Daniels, a guy at this point who, he's a rookie, but he's essentially played an entire season of football. Is this the point in time where teams, maybe the book is out on him a little bit and teams have enough film to where it's easier to game plan against him? Or is he still in that kind of rookie phase and it's going to take the entire offseason for teams to kind of get that understanding of him?
Before the season started around the draft time, I still do believe this. I think Caleb Williams is the most talented quarterback that was drafted, right? He's going to do things that's razzle-dazzle, extend plays, throw 40 yards off his back leg while getting – he's going to do those things to razzle-dazzle you. But the most NFL-ready quarterback was Jaden Daniels. He was the one that can come in right now and not miss a beat, that he can start day one, get in there. You don't have to worry about him being coached, or can he catch up with the speed of the game? And he's proven just that. Now, I think that what's going to happen is what he's going to have a problem with is Jalen Carter, during the game. Having that pressure in the interior and not being able to step up and do some of the things you're great at, that is where, in this pass rush, is going to come from Philly. They're playing well up front. That's going to be the biggest hurdle for Jaden Daniels. And can he be elusive enough and still deliver great footballs down the field and not get frustrated because he's hit over and over? Because he's going to get hit. This game, he's going to get hit. They're going to put a lot of pressure on him in the interior, especially, and he has to overcome that.
So, Sean, if we're looking at the outcome of this game and you just go on your gut, I'm thinking you're taking the Eagles at home. The line is the Eagles -6, so a little bit less than a touchdown. But you're comfortable with the Eagles advancing and winning this game and moving on to the Super Bowl.
I do, and not because of Jaden Daniels. I don't think he's going to be ready. I just don't think they're going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley. Saquon's playing at such a high level right now that when they're running the football, they're almost impossible to beat, because everything opens up and they can start getting the ball to A.J. Brown and Smith and those wide receivers down the field and it's causing havoc. I think they're going to have a serious problem stopping Saquon Barkley, and then once that happens, the game could get out of hand. And regardless of whatever happens, you can never take the body of work away from the season from the Commanders and what Jaden Daniels done this year. But I got the Eagles winning this game.
We continue with NFL linebacker Sean Merriman here, courtesy of Bet Online. You can check out Bet Online for the AFC, NFC title games, lines, and prop Super Bowl futures, and look-ahead lines for all potential Super Bowl matchups. So you said you like the Bills over the Chiefs in the upset. You also like the Eagles, too much Saquon. So if we get the Eagles Bills for the Super Bowl, who are you going with in that potential matchup, Sean?
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills. And especially another thing to watch out for is Jalen Hurts and his injury and, how healthy he's going to be coming into the game as well. But I'm taking the Bills, man. I think that this is the year they get over the hump. I said it before the season. These guys are seasoned. They have too many ways to scorch you on offense and pass the ball around and running the football well, too, when they need to. They're doing all the right things, and Josh Allen is playing as high as level of football as he's ever played right now. It should. Nothing taken away from Lamar Jackson, but Josh Allen should win the MVP.
All right, Sean, I had one more question for you. Just, kind of going back to what we were talking about with the Commanders and kind of coming out of nowhere with a rookie quarterback. Looking ahead to next year, just you don't have to get too in the weeds to it. I just didn't know, is there a team that sticks out to you as maybe they can do what the Commanders did this year in the 2025 season, as kind of coming out of nowhere and being not only a threat to make the postseason, but make a deep run in the postseason?
Yeah, I think. Look, man, we'll see what happens down in Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, but without any real leadership down there and somebody to take the reins, I think that they could be somebody that could be scary next year. I also like Penix out of Atlanta. I think they could be on the uprise too. Bo Nix, the problem with Bo Nix is he's in the AFC West against Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, and whoever the Raiders going to draft, that's just a tough conference to win in. But yeah, there's a couple teams, man, depending on head coaches coming in and who they bring in to take the next step. And I think Chicago Bears have got a massive upgrade in coaching. And they got Taylor Williams there, they got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. They could be someone to cause some problems next year as well.
You want to take a roll of the dice on who the Cowboys name as their next head coach?
I know the Dion. So, by the way, guys, I got the East-West Shrine Bowl practice this weekend. It'll be live on Lights Out Sports TV. And I talked to Prime. Prime is going to be there, and Shador Sanders is going to be there. And I'd be remiss if we didn't ask him what he's planning on doing. But I don't believe Jerry Jones called you for no reason. And, I know he likes Prime, but I'm sure he's not calling him to check and see how his day is going. And so I really do believe that if they do make that decision to draft Shador Sanders, that Prime would absolutely have to consider that. It's too big of an opportunity to miss, especially if you get a chance to coach your son again.
Sean, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Enjoy the call. Have a great call coming up this weekend. Enjoy the games on Sunday, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, guys. Make sure you download Lights Out Sports TV. It's available on all major smart TVs. We got the East-West Shrine Bowl practices starting Saturday morning. Big weekend of football with the East-West. Hey,
you got it, Sean. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sean Merriman, former NFL linebacker, nickname Lights Out. Yeah, he's
good. All-pro. He's pretty first-round pick. Pretty good.
BetOnline.ag. Once again, you can check out BetOnline for the AFC, NFC title game lines and props, Super Bowl futures, and a look-ahead lines for all 4 potential Super Bowl matchups. He likes the Bills in the upset over the Chiefs. He thinks it's too much Eagles at home versus the Commanders. We continue here on the Thursday edition of Three-Man Front. Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider. Lots to talk about with him. Ryan Grubb, is the trail going cold for Alabama and a potential new OC. Three-Man Front and Jocks, 94.5. 10:35. Great visit with former NFL linebacker Sean Merriman. Joining us courtesy of betonline.ag, giving us his thoughts and going in depth on the teams, what he likes, what he doesn't like. If you missed that, you can find it there at the podcast at jocksfm.com, 3-man front, when you download the app. We appreciate all of our viewers on YouTube, on Jocks TV. Simply go to YouTube and go to Jocks945 TV, and you can watch Molly and Conrad.
And Landrum.
With choreography and lots of jazz hands every single day.
Every day. Well, we're currently in the middle of flu season, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus, is 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
I was asking Sean about Championship Sunday because just getting his perspective as a former player. And he said, yeah, Championship Sunday, because Super Bowl Sunday, it is more about the show and a lot of the stuff surrounding it.
Yeah, and the halftime show and all that.
Yeah, and the game is kind of falling short, but you think about the collaboration of all walks of life and genres crossing over. Everybody wants to go to the Super Bowl, but this is just Sunday. You get hardcore football, and it's all on the line, and you know that you're going to get each team's best. But if you missed it, he does like the Bills to go ahead and take care of business. I hope that this is the year that they get over the hump. I'll be honest with you. I'm pulling for the Bills.
Me too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it was, again, not to, kick you while you're down, Molly, but I think everybody that didn't have a rooting interest was pulling for the Lions, right? And I think now that's moved to the Bills as the next in line of you've suffered for long enough. And on top of, the Bills have been very, very good for the last 5 or 6 years and just haven't been able to get over that hurdle. But they dismantled the Chiefs earlier this year when they played. And so it's going to be fascinating to see if they're able to get over that hump in the postseason. But hey, I mean, I think this is what everyone wanted, Chiefs and Bills, right? I think everyone wanted to see them kind of slay the giant. And then here, at least in our viewing area, you can root on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, and maybe root against Jaden Daniels if you have bad memories from him at LSU. So you get a little bit of a local tie. And of course, I think we got the AFC title game that everyone wanted to see.
I just don't want to see the Chiefs and the Eagles again. Kind of like how we got the Chiefs and the 49ers again last year.
Yeah.
Like, if it's the Chiefs and the Commanders, fine. Or if it's the Bills and the Eagles or the Bills and the Commanders, I don't really care. I just don't want that matchup again.
And if Jalen Hurts isn't 100%, again, if they win, obviously deserve a spot to be in the Super Bowl. It's just, you want them to be 100% and feel like they can go back and forth. And that was a very good Super Bowl that came down to the holding penalty at the very end there. But yeah, it's time for something new. Bills and Commanders, that has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, well, Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman, he's going to be looking for a new defensive coordinator. Al Golden, who spent the last 3 seasons heading up the Irish defense. He is headed back to the NFL and presumably as a defensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals. So Marcus Freeman having to fill the staff, but maybe Al Golden, he had that opportunity. We know that coordinator money is really, really good, and lifestyle, maybe quality of life, maybe a little bit better.
Yeah. I think, first off, I think this is a really good hire for the Bengals because the Bengals are in a situation where, again, defensively, let's be honest, that side of the ball let them down a lot this year because you have one of, in my opinion, the second best quarterback in the NFL in Joe Burrow. You have arguably the best receiver right now in Jamar Chase. You had the leading passer and the leading receiver in the NFL, and you only won 9 games and missed the postseason. So the defense definitely needs to clear some things up, and Al Golden's done a great job, obviously in his, formerly in the NFL, but recently with Notre Dame and the physicality that he brought to that side of the ball for the Irish. So I think this is a great hire for Cincinnati. And I think Cincinnati is going to be one of those teams that we're talking about right there with the Chiefs, Bills, maybe the Ravens again next year as, those Super Bowl contenders out of the AFC.
If you needed validation for the ratings, and we discussed what we thought the potential viewership was going to be for the college football playoff national championship that we got between Notre Dame and Ohio State, and thinking that would those two teams from that portion of the country, would they draw a big number? Now, some people with their opinions said that, yes, that would have been the dream for ESPN to have a brand like Ohio State, to have a brand like Notre Dame. Well, the numbers are in, and if you didn't see them, it was announced yesterday that the broadcast averaged 22.1 million viewers. It was the most watched non-NFL sporting event over the past year, but a 12% drop from the 25 million who tuned in for Michigan's win over Washington in 2024.
Yeah, it's I believe a 12% decrease in viewership to be exact with it. And you even compare that to, like you said, the national championship, but last year you had the Rose Bowl with Alabama and Michigan, and that game had 27 million viewers. So you're down 5 million from a semifinal game last year. And, I think there's a number of different reasons you can look at this. I mean, our poll question has, 4 different options for you to pick from, but, just thinking about it, last year, because I know a lot of people would go, well, you had Washington and Michigan last year. You didn't have an SEC team, so why would that be the thing that impacted it the most? But I think you had the Michigan storyline, right, of the cheating scandal and all of that stuff, and everybody wanted them to lose. There wasn't a Michigan fan, right? And then with Washington, it was a little bit of that Cinderella story, right? It was oh man, they kind of came out of nowhere. Look how great Michael Penix is. And it added a little bit of flair to that on top of the semifinal games that were very competitive. And so you felt like you were going to get a very good, very competitive national championship. And I think, this year there were probably a lot of people that watched Ohio State in the first game or two and said, that's all she wrote. This team is just going to steamroll everybody. And ultimately that's what they did. But it just didn't feel like you had the storylines that you did last year, whether it was the cheating scandal, the Cinderella story. It was just, okay, Notre Dame's kind of likable now. That felt like maybe the biggest storyline, or, Ryan Day getting validation.
Or and there's some people, and we heard from some of them, where I wish they would both lose. I care nothing about this matchup.
Sentiment, yeah.
Now, lack of competitiveness with the matchup in game and getting out to a 31-7 lead. It peaked at 26 million or 20. Was it 26 million? I think that it peaked at.
It was 26, yeah.
But averaged 22 million. That's the third lowest in 11 college football playoff title games. That behind Alabama's rout of Ohio State, which have been second lowest, and then the lowest obviously would have been Georgia's rout of TCU, 65-7. Who could forget that?
Yeah, no surprise that one was the last one. But yeah, it poses an interesting question now, and I'm sure this is something we'll talk about throughout the course of the off season. But I saw this shared on social media last night, and it was the sentiment that has college football viewership, have we reached a ceiling of the point that you don't really get above that 30 million mark, right? Like that seems to be the ceiling for what you're going to get for the best college football games. And how do you continue to grow that? And how do you continue to develop that? If we're going to keep expanding the playoff and keep extending the season and when the season ends, how are you getting new eyeballs onto the sport in a similar vein of the NFL, right? I know the NFL viewership, I think, is down a little bit this year, but you go back a decade when everybody said, I'm done, I'm not watching the NFL anymore. It has grown significantly since then. And so now we're in the same thing with college football with NIL. I don't want to watch it anymore. This isn't the sport I used to grow up and love, but it's still a great product and we all love it. And watching the games, I never think about the NIL. I'm thinking, man, these matchups, the competitiveness, the parity is so great. But now, the people that are paid a lot more money than we are, it is their job to figure out how to continue to grow this thing and get more and more engagement and interest.
I started thinking about March Madness and the NCAA tournament, and we know the viewership and how much excitement there is on that first Thursday and Friday and that first weekend. But how many of those casual viewers who have a bracket, who are following the tournament, who are tuning in throughout the first two rounds, get to the Sweet 16, maybe even the Elite Eight, but then when you get to the Final Four and you pare it down to that many teams, or especially the title game, I think some of those people, they're just fatigued from the length of time, from the start of the tournament. You've consumed a lot of games, and then it gets down and you don't have maybe that sexy of a matchup. Maybe it's an unknown. Maybe it's a blue blood. I don't know if that's where we are in having more games of the college football playoff and playing out since that first night that we had Notre Dame and Indiana and South Bend. But I'm just thinking of comparables and looking at March Madness and the buildup, the excitement. But as it goes on, not that a lot of people aren't tuning in, but I would like to see those numbers where how many casual viewers, where is it peaking those first 2 days? And there's a lot more games, so it's going to be hard to get that kind of number. But on average, how many more eyeballs are actually watching and tuning in and engaged? Just something to think about. We'll continue. You got any thoughts on that? You can certainly weigh in. 205-834-9450 on the Jocks text line, 800-239-WJOX. Loaded up Thursday. We got Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider at the top of the hour. Rob Pate talking Auburn and other things at 11:45. And the Southern Gentleman, Brett Norsworthy at 12:30. Glad you're with us. It's Three Man Front. We are Jocks 94.5. 10:49. It's Thursday on Three Man Front. Landrum, Conrad, Male, and Pat hanging out. Glad you're with us. Text line is open. We'll get to some of your texts, some of your tweets as well. Looking at the NCAA Men's March Madness Basketball Tournament Championship Game viewers from 2013 to 2024. If you missed it, the viewership was out yesterday. It was released in an average of 22 million for Ohio State and Notre Dame in the title game. And that's the third lowest in the last 11 college football playoff national championship games. Last year for the title game with UConn and Purdue, you had 14.82 million on average watching that game. But you go back to 2015, 28.3. 28.3 million was the average in 2015. And you said that it was Duke and Wisconsin?
Yeah, Duke beat Wisconsin, 68-63.
The next highest would have been 2013 at 23.4 million, 2017, 23 million, but the last two seasons, 14.69 and 14.82.
I think a big part of that, I just realized that was the year 2015. That's the year Kentucky went undefeated until the Final Four, and they lost to that Wisconsin team, and then they were playing Duke. So obviously you have the Duke fan base combined with, Wisconsin just beat maybe the best basketball team of all time. Frank Kaminsky.
Sam Decker, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
that was
right.
a good team.
That's right.
Yeah, Bo Ryan coaching too. That
was a very good
He was
team.
still on the sideline. Yeah, it was. Great places you can go. It's boutique fitness. It's Mandu, and it's electrical muscle stimulation fitness. It's in downtown Homewood. Go in there. Here's the concept of Mandu. For those of you who maybe you've got some physical limitations, maybe you just don't have time. It's something for everybody. You're going to go in, you sign out, fill out a quick health information form. Your first visit, it's absolutely free. And if you choose to, they're going to put you in a suit, hook you up to a machine. It sends electric pulses to various parts of your body. It doesn't hurt. And they're going to put you through a 15-minute workout. Now, it's a 15-minute workout. No strings attached, no fine print. 15 minutes. You go through the workout, you're going to get results because of that technology. And I can't explain it. Scientists came up with this and somebody approved it. So they know that it's okay for you. It's okay for your body. I can tell you it has certainly helped me. I've gotten results, Damian Mitchell here, and so many Jocks listeners who take me up on going to Mandu in downtown Homewood. Get in there. You can go to mandu.com, at Mandu Homewood. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook, a variety of different social media platforms. But tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you. Mandu, MANDUU.com, MANDUU.com. Tell Paul, the rest of the crew there, Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you. First visit's free, and I guarantee you, you're going to get results. The Twitter poll is up. It is active, as always, Molly Robinson. And for the people who missed it, what is our Twitter poll question?
So what was the main reason the CFP championship game viewership was down 12%, and it was one of the least viewed title games of all time? Was it because there was no Cinderella, the season was too long, the inauguration, or the lack of SEC teams? And right now winning is actually the lack of SEC teams. Second place is the season was too long. Coming in third is the inauguration. And last, with only 1.9%, was no Cinderella team. But we do have quite a bit of our listeners chiming in. Skinner Wills says there was a lack of interest in college football now thanks to NIL, the transfer portal, and the playoff arrangement. I used to be a diehard fan, but now I find myself unenthusiastic about the game. Barely watched any of the games this year.
Yeah, that's a popular sentiment that we hear from a lot of our listeners.
Mark in the Ham says, really none of those. The fact that Ohio State was head and shoulders better than everyone else drove me away.
Yeah.
They played within the rules, so they earned it. But much like the World Series, there was very little mystery when the teams are allowed to spend uninhibited.
Yes.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Batter Up says 3/4 of the country could not have cared less.
And I think that's another part of it is Columbus, Ohio is a huge viewing area for college football. Ohio State has the biggest fan base in the country. But when you look outside of that, all the other great, when it comes to viewership, it's here in the South, right? That's where you get your bread and butter if you're college football. And yeah, I think a lot of people were just checked out here in the South.
Well, just to tell you how far we've come, we know Notre Dame, and we have taken our shots at Notre Dame for not joining a conference, for not playing a conference championship game, and the entitled kind of mindset. But when I find myself, and I have genuine, like, golly, that's a good story, I'm pulling for the Irish against Ohio State, then I know that the world is upside down in intercollegiate athletics.
Yes. And
that's where I was. Part of it, though, was Riley Leonard, kid from Fairhope, Marcus Freeman, loved him, and I just thought that they played together so well as a team, and they were the underdog.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Foy says none of the above. The issue was having playoff games not on a network TV/ESPN and on weird nights.
Okay.
I've actually seen that a lot. A lot of people didn't like the fact that the game was on a Monday night, but it's always been on a Monday night.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that a little bit, but it's like the Super Bowl being on a Sunday, right? You have to go to
Right.
work the next day. It's not that much different, but yeah, I guess most people would rather be on Friday or Saturday.
And Michael says everyone is losing interest due to the players chasing money instead of loyalty.
That's
a big part of it.
Yeah,
you know?
it really is. It's funny, though, we don't hear any of this in college basketball. Nobody, at least in this part of the country, and maybe it happens in the Northeast, but we don't hear, golly, I'm not watching any more college basketball because of NIL. It's just totally turned it up, you know?
Yeah, I just think maybe people relate different to football than basketball, especially here, right? You know, it's kind of a new thing to get really into basketball for Alabama and Auburn because they've only been really good for the last few years, and maybe just not as many prominent names outside of, your Janai Brooms and Mark Sears.
Well, No Shoes Nation is headed into a new dimension in 2025. Kenny Chesney is live at the Sphere in Las Vegas for 12 shows this May and June, and you could be there. So one winner will score a trip for two to this once-in-a-lifetime concert experience, including round-trip air to Vegas, a 2-night stay at the Virgin Hotel, entry into the VIP pool party, and 2 VIP tickets to see Kenny Chesney live at the Sphere. To enter, text the national keyword DOWN to 95819. That's down to 95819. Contest rules are available at jocksfm.com.
It'd be quite the pool party there in Vegas.
VIP.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I wonder if they're going to have sand because Kenny, I thought he requires sand. It's in every song, right?
It's in a lot of them, isn't it?
Yeah. Lot of that. We continue. The text line is open 205-834-9450. Josh texting in from Huntsville. He says, if this was 20 years ago, the Natty would have been Georgia versus Oregon, which I argue would have had way better ratings. Maybe so. Well, in the storyline of Dan Lanning and Oregon chasing that national championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Look, I understand. I know Notre Dame has a huge fan base. It's just compared to some of the, I guess maybe the fandom here in the SEC, I feel like it's just a little different.
Another one rolling in, and it says it definitely feels like basketball has been affected by NIL less than football. And maybe in this part of the country, it's just fan interest. We just don't hear it as much. Another text, no SEC team was big, but personally I was going back and forth between the game and Trump signing executive orders. Stephen from Leeds, appreciate the text.
There's a lot going on Monday.
Robert says the game needs to be off Monday, but the NFL won't allow it to happen. NIL has gotten out of control. Something has to be done. More of your texts. We will get to those in the next hour, but coming up, his regularly scheduled spot. It's Rodney Orr, our friend, Tighter Insider. What is going on? We're going to get any more coaching changes in Tuscaloosa on that Alabama stuff. And where's Ryan Grubb? That's next. 3-Man Front, Jocks 94.5.
It is hour number 2 of Jocks 94.5's three-man front. Thanks for making us a part of your Thursday. We're going to go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama momentarily. Talk to Rodney Orr from Tighter Insider. First hour of the show, really great interview with Sean Merriman as he gave us his thoughts on the AFC and the NFC championship games coming up.
Yeah, he likes the Bills, and Sean played the
Well,
majority
he
of his
finished his
career
career for the
with the
Bills.
Chargers and finished with the Bills, but he gave the reasons why, and he thinks that the Bills are actually the most complete team left in the playoffs. And he thinks they get it done, but he said it's going to be too much Saquon. As good as Jaden Daniels has been, too much Saquon at home as the Eagles right now a 6-point favorite over the Commanders.
Last night in the SEC was number 5, Florida, knocking off South Carolina 70-69. South Carolina now the only winless team in conference play in the Southeastern Conference because Arkansas and Coach Cal. I wonder if they had a big cake for him last night, like in the locker room. Like, congratulations, Coach. Here's a Tyson chicken cake.
He went to Dunkin' Donuts this morning. He could show his face in Fayetteville again.
Yeah. Didn't he do it like a commercial for an investment company about a year ago? It was a national commercial. I saw it during the Final Four all the time. Where like he met somebody for coffee and donuts or something.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was his thing in Lexington. He would go to the local Dunkin' Donuts and he would have his coffee.
My best was last year when there was all these rumors about him and they catch him on the sidewalk walking his dog.
That was awesome.
And it's also the fact that if I remember correctly, it was like a Shih Tzu or something. Like it was
an ankle biter. It was a toy dog. It weighed maybe 4 pounds soaking wet.
I know, and it's just that image of Coach Cal and this larger than life figure, and here he is walking his Shih Tzu down the street, getting interrogated about his coaching future.
You just see him, Coach Cal. He can be gruff. He can be hard to deal with at times. But
he's got a lap dog.
He gets into that baby voice and he's calling Muffy.
All right, let's go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Joining us on the Buyers Right hotline from Tighter Insider, Rodney Orr joins us. Rodney, did Nick Saban have a dog? Did he have a dog while he was the head coach?
I know they had. Yeah. I saw a picture of one of them, and I can't remember what it was. I think Miss Terry actually lost a dog.
Oh no!
It was like a day or two before the Mississippi State game. You remember the game she didn't go to?
Yes.
And everybody made a big deal of it. I think it was because her dog passed away.
Oh no!
Because of her not being at that game, there was a lot of other really bad rumors out there.
Yeah.
That I'm very glad that those rumors were not true.
Was that the game that Alabama, Rodney, had such a hard time stopping the run, where Mississippi State was just breaking off runs?
I don't really remember. It was the 2023 game over there in Starkville. Remember, it's a night game.
Yep.
I don't really remember exactly, what that was. I know Alabama obviously won the game pretty handily. I know Milroe had a big run, but I don't really remember exactly that. Now, no, the one game that I really remember that and I'm not saying you're referring to this one, was the one where Alabama was without all their linebackers. I think it was 2017 game. And Mississippi State ran up and down the field. And anyway, but yeah, back to the other one. That was the reason that I was told that she didn't make the trip on that Mississippi State game. And I think that was the first away game that she didn't attend.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So still, we get questions all the time, and I know it's always a conversation on Tighter Insider about Ryan Grubb. I know the NFL is starting to percolate in regards to head coaching. It looks like now the Cowboys are going to hire Schottenheimer. I don't know if Ryan Grubb has a relationship with Schottenheimer or anybody around the Cowboys, but there has been speculation that maybe we haven't heard anything on Ryan Grubb because there are some other opportunities in the NFL. Do you have any kind of update whatsoever, what you're hearing on Ryan Grubb?
I was just telling Conrad that it's been nothing new. It's been extremely quiet, I think, on both ends. Somebody told me they did a thorough search on the internet of Ryan Grubb, and they couldn't come up with anything that was a new lead. So, no, to be honest with you, I think it's just been kind of in limbo. Kind of the same as it's been, nothing new.
Anything to report on potentially the spring window? I know that you don't know, but is there any emphasis with that staff, with Kalen DeBoer, on maybe 1-2 guys that they could go and find to fill specific needs?
Specific guys, I don't know yet, obviously. I mean, I would think that if you could find a big interior defensive lineman, that would be certainly something you would look at. Uh, ideally, if you could get another experienced tackle, I think they're low on offensive tackles. I think if you could find another experienced offensive tackle, maybe that would certainly be a spot that you would look at. Could they possibly take a receiver, another receiver? Maybe. I guess if the right one came open. People have asked this, and I think we've talked about it just briefly about a quarterback. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be anyone out there that's going to be attractive enough anyway that they would want as a guy that could potentially start. But, you always want to have 4 quarterbacks on scholarship if possible. They'll have 3 this spring. Maybe if they could find a guy that wanted to be a depth guy for a year and with the opportunity to maybe contribute down the road, they take a 4th quarterback. Again, that's just something to think about. But other than that, I think it's pretty well, the roster's pretty well intact.
In regards to the February signing day, which is coming up in just a couple weeks, what are you hearing? I mean, does Alabama have any room? Will they be adding anybody on the February signing day?
Well, I think, right now, and again, it's around 80, right at 80 right now. And again, you've got the portal that you can still grab some guys from. I don't think there's going to be anyone at this moment. Could that change? Yeah, it could. But right now, I don't think of anyone, for that February signing day.
Rodney Orr joining us, Tighter Insider. You can find him there at Tighter Insider on Twitter, also TighterInsider.com. He joins us as all of our guests do on the Buyers Right hotline. When you look at Alabama's schedule, and very similar to this year's, you just flip where the game is being played. If you were going to, Rodney, set a Vegas over-under win total, just setting the total for people to say, yeah, they get less than that, they get more. Where do you think a fair start would be if you were going to go ahead and baseline Alabama's total wins next season?
Yeah. Well, I saw it was 9, right? So, I mean, that was the one I saw.
Yes.
That's, there's so many questions, but that's probably fair, I would say. I know that's Alabama fans want more, obviously. And I think it's going to take 10 to get into the playoff. You're not going to be able to, I think right now, the way it is, we saw a 3-loss team couldn't get in. So they need to improve on that. And you know what? I know Florida State wasn't very good this year. Obviously, they were really good the year before, and they had a lot of issues. I'll be surprised if they're not a lot better. I know they've got Malzahn coming in. I know they got the quarterback Castellanos from Boston College transferring in. Surely they're going to be better. To be able to open up, go there, that's going to be a really big game, for Alabama to get off on the right foot. It's that's going to be a real challenge. Then you have Wisconsin early in the season, and of course, the SEC schedule that you mentioned. So I think next year is going to be a real challenge for this team. Defensively, it looks like Alabama's going to be really solid with a lot of those guys coming back. But and as much as potential as we think Ty Simpson has, there's going to be a lot of question marks about a new quarterback.
So is it a situation by looking at the SEC as a whole this year, now that the season is over with and we do a post-mortem of the league, did you think that the league was as competitive as it's ever been, or was the league down? Why did we have this situation where only 3 teams made the college football playoff, in your opinion?
Just kind of thinking about it, quarterback was a situation there at a lot of these schools.
Right.
Obviously Carson Beck didn't have the kind of year, and he got injured. I think obviously Alabama had a lot of ups and downs at quarterback too. Texas was probably one of the more consistent teams at quarterback with Quinn Ewers. Even though there are some Texas fans that are, really were clamoring for Arch, how that goes. But I just thought, quarterback play was a little bit down. There were some things like Ole Miss, I talked to someone over there I really respect, been covering that team for a long, long time, and they said, look, this Ole Miss roster, this was the best roster ever that Ole Miss has had. And there was just a lot of disappointment in how they performed this year with that roster. And so that's that. And again, I think Jackson Dart's a really good quarterback, but it's just going to be, it's really you guys know how competitive it is. And I think next year when you look at it, I think you look at where some of these rankings are coming out with Auburn. There's not a lot of difference between some of these teams, and most of these teams.
Yeah, and Rodney, to that point, and we were kind of looking ahead, our way too early top 15. We put it out around halftime of the national championship game on Monday night. But you're exactly right. It's so hard to differentiate between some of these because of the portal and because of the uncertainty of who they could add, who could be leaving. And then you look, and a great point was Ole Miss and having that best roster. And it was championship or bust, according to those in Oxford prior to the start of the season, and not even getting to the college football playoff. But that being said, who is a team, and you mentioned Auburn, but who is that team in the SEC that you think makes a huge jump or maybe gets back to where they're expected to be next season in the league?
It's a really good question. And, I said Auburn, right?
Right.
And they really lost some games that they should have won. They gave some games away somehow. South Carolina comes to mind. I'm talking about the South Carolina-Auburn game. Auburn had them, and you saw what happened late. The Oklahoma game, you saw several of those games on Auburn's schedule where they could have been much better. Again, that could be a team. Certainly, I think it's really important for Hugh Freeze now, going in his third year, that they kind of improve, maybe significantly. So we'll see. I know a lot of Alabama fans say, well, what about Alabama? And again, I think Alabama has a chance to have a really, really good defense. I think they showed a lot of improvement down the stretch. They've got several guys coming back. We mentioned all those linebackers that announced they were coming back. So I thought that was really key. I think for Alabama, it's getting the offensive line, getting Caden Proctor healthy, getting Jaden Roberts healthy, solidifying that. I think they've got a great center in Parker Brailsford. I think they're going to be better at wide receiver with Isaiah Horton, and hopefully Jalen Hale will be back full throttle, and Cole Adams. So I think they've got a chance to be better there. And like I said, I think there's a question mark, obviously, because Ty Simpson doesn't have any meaningful game experience. So Alabama's going to enter the season, obviously, with a quarterback, whoever it is, that really doesn't have any meaningful game experience. And I think that's a really huge question mark. When you look at the schedule, they've got to go to Georgia, late September. They're going to be taking a guy that's just getting his feet wet.
Rodney Orr joins us from Tider Insider. So I was thinking about you a couple days ago when Texas was getting hammered with snow. When you were dancing the light fantastic there in Corpus Christi on those famous Friday nights with your jeans on.
With the Windjammer. Yeah.
That's right, the Windjammer.
Painted on jeans.
Absolutely. Pat. Yes, painted on jeans. Did you experience any type of snowfall? I lived in San Antonio for a couple of years, and we had a light dusting one December, which was really pretty in front of the Alamo. But outside of that, I never experienced it. Did you have any snowfall when you lived in Texas?
I was there 30 years, and I think maybe twice we got a little bit of snow. And wasn't much.
Was it? I was going to say, was it measurable enough to where you could actually go out and?
We thought it was. To us it was. Anything was. The dust was. Hey, it's really coming down out there.
Absolutely.
But the crazy thing about that was South Texas weather. One day it could be 30 degrees and ice coming down. 2 days later, it's 80 degrees. And you could run to the beach. That's just how crazy the weather could be. But most of the time, it's fairly. You don't get much of that really, really cold weather.
I'm ready for the warm weather. I don't know about you, Rodney. I'm ready for spring. Bring on spring.
Well, I'm always ready for it.
We're ready to go to South Padre Island. That's what we want to do. Beach and Jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
I do say this though, the beaches around here are better.
No doubt.
I gotta admit.
No, there's no doubt whatsoever. Rodney, hope you have a good rest of the week, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
That is Rodney Orr joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline for all your insurance, financial, HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner.
A lot of your texts coming in. We'll get to more of your texts. Some news out of the NFL, potentially. We'll get to that as well. Thursday edition of Three Man Front in Jocks 94.5.
Eleven 19, Jocks 94.5. Welcome back in. This is Three Man Front. Download the Three Man Front podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Or how about the Jocks 94.5 app? You download the app. You can take us along with you, whether it's audio or it could be video. What's up? Yeah, we're on, but that's okay.
That's fine.
You're the big man.
No,
you're
good.
the boss.
You're good.
You're the boss. You need that? Go ahead, take it. Whatever you need.
No,
we're good.
No,
I'm dropping weight. It's like I'm a wrestler. If you need to get that out of here, go ahead.
Yeah, our boss, our general
we're
manager.
Good. Thank you.
JR, James Robinson.
That's right.
poking his head in, just making sure that we were okay.
Yeah, I think this is really cold.
Yeah, that's what kind of culture we have around here.
Absolutely.
It's a caring environment.
Whether it's James or the suit, I mean,
Oh,
they
the
care
suit.
about us.
I saw him as I was going to the restroom. He looks great today.
Is he okay?
Mm-hmm. He's
Okay.
good. He had a smile on his face. A
Fantastic.
little skip and a step.
Wow, that's big time.
How about Rambler Sports Bar and Grill? You get the 283-inch projector screen, the high definition, the quality sound, the video boards, wall-to-wall TVs. You're going to get it there, but you're also going to get an outstanding menu. They're open for lunch today through Sunday Night Football. That's right, NFL Championship Sunday. I'm going to be there. Hopefully you will as well. It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill near Railroad Park. 1630 2nd Avenue South. You just go to ramblersportsbar.com and you can check out the menu, whether it's the pregame, the handhelds. You want to go fork and knife, we'll go with one of those smash burgers, great appetizers, handcrafted cocktails, cold beer. What more could you ask for? It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. Ramblersportsbar.com is the website. You can check it out, and it's right there at 1630 2nd Avenue South, near Railroad Park.
Tell you what, that smash burger smells. I wish I could smell it.
You're not kidding, man.
That sounds pretty good right now.
I have not had red meat in 19 days now, and I need it.
So you have, what, a week left? 8 days?
Nope. Saturday at 10 a.m.
Oh.
Not that you're counting.
Yeah, he's got it down to the minute.
I do.
What are you going to eat?
Hopefully it's a nice
half a cow,
12-ounce filet, right?
Something. It's definitely going to be red meat.
All right, so it's this time of the year that now that the college football season has ended, you start hearing the trickling out of news items in which schools are self-reporting violations. And Molly, there is news coming out of the Rocky Mountains that our favorite program located in Boulder, Colorado is apparently reporting some stuff.
Yeah, so they've been hit with a minor recruiting violation. And
What?
basically it stems from...
No.
I know.
You're making this up.
No, I'm not. Well, it happened because Dion mentioned his basically recruiting of Juju Lewis, who it's been a while since we talked about him. But he brought up his recruitment during one of his coaches' shows, and he didn't realize it was a slip-up. Basically, he talked about his recruiting approach with Juju, talked about sitting down in his office with his father, answering questions over the course of a couple of hours. And the NCAA rule states that schools are not allowed to publicize or comment on any recruit before they officially sign. And Juju Lewis signed with the Buffaloes on December 4th.
Okay. Not that that's a big headline because, listen, typically it's like a Friday afternoon and Alabama and Auburn will drop.
Yeah.
We've got like 27 minor, violations that we'd like to pass along that really doesn't amount to anything, but they have to self-report them. But it's always like, oops, I accidentally said hello to somebody in the hallway at a high school when it's a dead period. Or, like Dion, he's doing a coach's show and just
Slip of the tongue.
it really doesn't matter anymore, right?
No.
Mm-mm.
Who cares?
Nope.
Whatever. I did see, and I don't know if this report was true, but I did see that there was a group in Colorado that apparently had some very strong comments towards Deion Sanders and Deion's use of talking about religion and talking about God. And so there was an organization that apparently had a problem with that because he's the head coach of the University of Colorado.
And that could influence his players.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. And I think you all know what Deion Sanders pretty much
I commend him, man.
told his bosses and everybody else.
Stand up for your faith.
Absolutely. So Deion was shocking that, something in Colorado would, have a problem with that, but okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing what a year can do for your perception of somebody.
So true. Very true. I didn't like Landrum last year, but he's had a good year.
I still don't like Landrum. Maybe 2026.
Hey, man.
I'm just kidding. You did me a solid
To
this
new
morning,
beginnings.
so I'm thankful for you.
What did he do?
He gave me and Paige a game that we can play at home. I'm trying to make it not sound. I'm trying to. I was trying to make it not
You
sound
could not
weird.
have set that up worse.
I didn't know how to make it
described
not
it
sound
I
weird.
was
Does
wondering
it
where that
involve
was
Twister
going.
and baby oil?
No, it's not
No.
a Diddy party. No, it's a board game that Landrum was telling me about that him.
It's a
and,
board
and
game,
his
but it's
wife
kind of like
play.
an escape room type board game where there's
There's
interactive video.
There's handcuffs involved.
No, but I
See,
didn't
there
tell
was
you
no
guys.
way to go about this
We
without it
did.
sounding
Hey,
bad.
Y'all
but how
brought
about
it
this?
up.
And I cannot believe I didn't share this on the show. So me and my wife, we went to an escape room last weekend.
A hotel room?
And it started with both of us in handcuffs against opposite walls. I didn't really feel good about it.
Wait a second.
I like to be in control in those situations. I was packing.
We're
though.
not recovering from this. It's not possible.
Where was this escape room in which you were handcuffed?
This one was in Homewood.
Oh,
the one right around from Social Taco?
Yeah.
I've done that one.
I've been to that one too.
Yeah, I didn't get handcuffed.
Oh, so they change up the themes every now and then.
Wait a second.
but,
Did you have to pay extra for that?
this was called Kidnapped.
Probably.
This was called Kidnapped. Well, the guy said he had the option. He said, "Do you guys want to be in handcuffs?"
He said, "Oh yeah."
And well, what I didn't close mine all the way just because, not because I was trying to cheat the game. I ended up finding the key to get us unlocked from that so we could start working the clues. But yeah,
just
I was
used to
like,
being on
I
the other end of
don't
it.
really like
Comfortable.
being in a place like this where I don't have more control being handcuffed. I don't know this game wizard or game master. I don't know who this guy is. What's he gonna do?
What are they gonna do to you?
Yeah. I don't know.
No, but like, what's the worst thing that could happen to you?
Did you have to sign any paperwork?
You do have to sign a waiver.
Okay.
Was there a tripod set up in the corner?
Well, there's video, and they can interact with you through the intercom when you're asking for clues. But no, it started with handcuffs.
Yeah, I did the submarine one when I went. That's just what I remember. It's a little different than the experience.
The submarine one, yeah.
I did. I forgot which one we had, but we did that one there in Homewood. But
No, we did Clue. No, we did the Clue one, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah. So, anyways, it's kind of like an escape room type thing.
Landrum brought a board game that Paige and I can play at home together.
But it's not just a board game. It's you got keys, you got clues, you got props, you got video involved,
who's
you
the
got all
actor in
kinds
it?
of stuff. Neil Patrick Harris.
That's right. I couldn't remember. His
Well, I mean,
name.
we'll go ahead and we'll
don't.
endorse-
We
No.
should.
See.
that
I just couldn't remember who was in it too.
Yeah, it's Doogie Howser.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Anyways. The name of the game is Box 2 that he got.
I don't
There's
know.
also
was there a
box
box one?
There is a Box 1.
Oh.
I don't think that makes it better.
So there's a sequel.
Yes.
Box one was so good.
Mhm.
We're coming out with box two.
Not enough
it
Fox the
was,
first
It was a
time.
lot of fun, especially
Now,
when
are
it's
these
freezing
handcuffs?
cold
Or are these
outside.
like? I
They
mean,
had fur on them. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I will call Officer Walt Jones of
Yeah.
the Homewood Police Department. Now he's got real handcuffs. Now, were these real handcuffs or these handcuffs like you go to
No, this wasn't
like a toy store and they're like plastic or whatever?
No, this wasn't department issued handcuffs.
Okay.
But I mean, they were not, it wasn't, they were kind of legit, I guess. They required a key.
Okay. Sounds legitimate.
Thank goodness I found the key.
So were you two the only ones that were handcuffed or everybody was handcuffed?
Oh, it was just us in the room. And
Oh,
they
so it was
and they
just you
shut
two
the
in the
door.
room?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got to figure out a
Okay.
key and a way to get out.
Because when I did it, there was like a whole room full of people.
See, I went with it was like me and Paige and my mom, my stepdad, my aunt, my uncle. So there were like 6 of us. We all knew
Have you
each
done one of
other.
those before?
Yeah, but I was in high school, so it's been a while. And there was like a group of 10. It was my dance
Right.
studio. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
It was fun. Did y'all win or whatever?
No, we
Completed?
came really, really close, but no, we did not win. And
Because you have what,
then-
like an hour? Or
Yes.
it depends on the time?
Yeah. So we were because we're really competitive, we were so upset with ourselves that we actually went to another escape room downtown and
had
booked
another
that.
one.
Yeah, and that was a clown. It was a serial killer clown.
Oh no, I
Oh,
would
boy.
hate that.
Yeah.
That sounds
I would
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one was really tough.
Did you do that
And
one?
it was just 2 of us. Turns out if you work with a bigger group, there's more opportunities to find clues or somebody's
Mm.
thinking outside of
Yes.
the box.
2.
Box 2.
2.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that was 10 minutes.
Something else.
Sorry.
How we go from Deion Sanders talking about religion with football players to now Landrum and his wife being chained up together in Homewood. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
know.
And the games that they share.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
with other
Landrum. I
couples.
probably could have approached that better, but here we are.
Hey, man. It's all right. You guys enjoy.
Thank you.
More three-man front. This is Jocks 94.5. We will open up the phone lines 1-800-239-WJOX. Rob Pate typically is with us at 11:45s every Thursday. He will not be on the program today. He is at the memorial service for Chet Williams down at Auburn. They are doing that today. And so Rob Pate will join us back next Thursday here on Three Man Front.
Well, get into Dobbs Ford on Parkway East 2025. Now's your opportunity. The Goshen family, Joey and Rachel, they do such a wonderful job. Their entire team there at Dobbs Ford, you're going to get a first-class experience. They're not going to pressure you. You want to look around? You can spend all day out there. They'll help you any way that they can. Alabama's largest showroom selection, top dollar for your trade, a no-hassle process. Trade-ins, you're going to get top dollar for that, but also what you're going to get there, you've got just an award-winning team, whether it's when you go in the showroom, you're out on the lot, whether it's in the body shop. They've got 2 GMC-certified diesel mechanics, which is a rarity, I'm told, among dealerships. F-150s, Broncos, Bronco Sports, Mustangs. You can find them there. Check out the website, DobbsFordBirmingham.com. That's DobbsFordBirmingham.com, Parkway East in Birmingham. And when you get out there, tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
Well, if there's any college football team that needs a center, this is kind of surprising, not really sure what's going on, but the starting center for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Pat Coogan. Boy, that is just a good old Irish name.
Yes, it is.
Patrick Coogan. He is expected to enter the NCAA transfer portal, according to Pete Nikos. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be a big-time addition for somebody, especially, offensive line, especially at this point in the transfer portal world. He's going to be very highly sought after.
I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Notre Dame having any type of center to quarterback exchange issues like Seth McLaughlin had when he was at Alabama, and Alabama pretty much told him, hit the transfer portal, which he did. And by the way, he won the Remington as the top center in college football.
Funny how things work, isn't it?
It is.
Well, they got a snapping coach up there.
Something tells me maybe he wasn't the problem all along.
You think?
What?
That's crazy. 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's go to the phone lines here on Jocks 94.5. Who we got, Conrad? I'm sorry, our computers are all screwed up.
We got Pelham Panther.
Okay, Pelham Panther joins us here on Three Man Front.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. One thing Nick Saban always did was he surrounded himself with good assistants. So you got Charlie Strong out there, Dan Mullen, Bo Pelini for your defensive coordinators. Or you got Jimbo Fisher, Major Applewhite. Just a couple names out there. What do you think on that?
Dan Mullen is not available. He is the new head coach at UNLV. So are you just saying Kalen DeBoer overhaul the entire staff? You think defensive coordinator was an issue? I thought that they were pretty decent down the stretch.
No, I think the defensive coordinator needs to go. They were bend but don't break, and they're gonna get killed this year. They're gonna lose at least 8 games. They're gonna win 8 games. That's my opinion.
Okay. Jimbo Fisher was interesting. So you think Jimbo Fisher for offensive coordinator?
Yeah, he did really good with Saban at LSU.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, though, Pelham Panther. And that's one of the reasons that he got run off there in College Station.
What about Major Applewhite?
Well, he's a head coach at South Alabama.
Yeah, I guess he could follow the Kane Womack model. And
But you don't think the hire as an assistant at Alabama will be more attractive than the head coach at South Alabama?
Well, I mean, that's obvious because Kane Womack did it. So, yeah, I mean, I think if that was, an opportunity for him to come back. I'm curious about the defense, though. And I know that they bent, but they didn't break. They did finish 21st in America in total defense. But you think that this team is going to be worse defensively this next year than the previous year?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I really do. I think that DeBoer was not a good hire. I think Alabama needed to go after someone that had Alabama ties like Dabo. But we'll see.
Okay. Pelham Panther, thank you for the call.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate that very much.
Interesting. Okay.
I love Alabama fans.
That's your peeps.
Those are my peeps.
So you were completely against Dabo Swinney, right?
Yes. At the time that Nick Saban retired, I did not want him.
He said at the time.
No, I think it's
Would
fair.
you take him now?
Would you take him now?
Would
No.
you trade Kalen DeBoer for Dabo Swinney right now?
No.
Okay.
But I do think that Dabo's going to be an interesting case 2 or 3 years down the road if he continues to start to adapt to things more. He's going to be a much more appealing candidate because that was my thing all along was, I mean, his resume speaks for itself, but if you're not willing to adapt to NIL and the transfer portal, you're going to get left behind, and he seems to have figured that out finally.
Jimbo Fisher calling plays at Alabama.
Yeah, I don't want that one. I'm good.
I go back with what you said. I mean, it's calling plays for LSU in the early 2000s, and based on the talent that he had at Texas A&M,
This is a different game.
and did
different
not deliver.
Yep.
Might be a minute before you see.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell back in
Would you
those
take-
days he was pretty dominant in that offense.
Would you take Bobby Petrino as your offensive coordinator or Jimbo Fisher?
Bobby Petrino?
Bobby Petrino, yeah.
Okay.
No doubt. I mean, you're getting baggage either way.
Nick Sheridan or Jimbo Fisher?
Nick Sheridan, yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, look, I get it. I understand people are
angry, Conrad.
They are angry. And
Unlike you, they want to see championships in Tuscaloosa. You don't care.
Doesn't seem to.
No.
I think like 2 weeks ago, I said I would return all of my Christmas gifts in exchange and have to say that to all of my family members' face in exchange for a championship. Wasn't that the question? Something along those lines? I'll go to more drastic measures than that if I have to. What?
Your body language right now, you are so uneasy already about next season.
I have more uncertainty going into next year than I have in a long time.
Yeah,
Yes.
you were, and we picked up on the whole Dabo thing, so you can play that off all you want.
And you were not a minority in regards to not wanting Dabo Sweeney. Like
No.
that came out really quick that the fan base did not.
We were
want
getting
even
live shots from local TV news stations in Tuscaloosa with fans that went out of their way to make signs.
No
And-
to Dabo.
Say no to Dabo. We don't want Dabo.
No, and I stand by outside of Kirby Smart, right? Like I think Kalen DeBoer is a good hire. I'm not in the boat that I think he's a disaster and that Alabama needs to, correct that mistake or anything. I still, he's the guy. I'm going to ride with that. But I do think that, the perception of a guy like Dabo can potentially change over the next couple of years. And you would see people that started to go, okay, maybe we underestimated his ability to evolve a little bit, and time will tell.
Well, and you see already the signs of that.
Correct.
I mean, he's taking some transfers now.
Absolutely.
He has made some really good. I mean, I think
Great
bringing in
coordinator hires.
Allen as defensive coordinator, that's huge.
And say what you want about Garrett Riley, but when he hired him from TCU, I mean,
he was the hot name.
He was the number one name on everyone's list for OC.
Yep. You see the warning signs: windows or doors that stick, cracks in the brick or block, those leaning or bowing walls in your basement, the settling or sinking of your home. How much time before that minor repair is going to become a serious structural damage to your home? You can't afford to wait. You need to call APS today. That number is 205-951-9717. APS will come out. They'll give you a free estimate. Wet basements, also a problem if you're a homeowner, and APS can take a look at your situation and they can give you a plan moving forward in which you can eliminate that wet basement, because mold and mildew, rot, and air quality problems can sneak into your home if you allow that water to sit and be a problem in your basement. Foundation problems don't get better with time. They get better when you call APS. Call them today, 205-951-9717, or visit their website at alabamaprofessional.com.
We continue. More news that we will get to. And in the next hour, the Southern gentleman, Brett Norsworthy, he's going to unveil his I Ain't Scared bold prediction for the 2025 college football season. Three-man front, Jocks 94.5.
11:45, Jocks 94.5 on this Thursday. Thanks for making us a part of your day. A reminder, you can download the Jocks 94.5 app. Take us along wherever you go, whether it is audio or video.
Well, we're currently in the middle of flu season, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. Removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus, is 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
A lot of text coming in on the Jocks text line. We appreciate your interaction. 205-834-9450. We told you that the ratings for the college football playoff championship on Monday night, they did come out and they are down roughly 12% from last year, but the third lowest rating between Ohio State and Notre Dame that we have had in the past 11 matchups, Alabama and Ohio State with the 52-24 beatdown a few years ago, that would have ranked second lowest. And then, of course, Georgia and TCU, the 65-7 route. Pat B texting in, and he throws out viewership of the college football playoff may be down in the Southeast because SEC players were playing in the NFL playoff rather than in the college football playoff. You had former SEC players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Joel Klatt was right. Shouldn't have the national championship game this deep in the NFL playoffs. Who knows?
Robbie and Hoover, college basketball used to be one and done players going pro, so NIL not that big of a deal. Football used to be the best players leaving your school until 3 years because they can't turn pro out of high school. NIL has changed that. And I just made the comment that we don't hear any backlash over transfer portal, NIL, and college basketball, but it's ruining college football according to some. Robert reminds us that the playoff committee got it all wrong. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it. Michael, after Arkansas has come from behind win their first win in SEC play last night over Georgia, he says after the win, did John Calipari take his shirt off?
No, he did not.
He did not. He was enthusiastic, but he did not take his shirt off.
And I was watching last night. I'm sorry, Molly, that USC knocked off Nebraska last night, but Musselman did not take his shirt off there in Lincoln.
Lame.
But something that did happen in that game is, you know how they have the full court putts that they'll do at halftime? Somebody hit the putt and won a Porsche, right?
Putt for Porsche.
Well, then Landrum was just telling me and Molly that someone hit a half court shot as well.
They did.
They need to put them on the team
at halftime.
Man,
I'm not gonna lie though. I have seen a lot of putts for Porsche, and I've seen a lot of them get close,
but never
won a Porsche.
What a night for a Nebraska fan.
What did the fan over at Ole Miss when they did it? You remember when they did that? Was it last season?
Yeah.
And they did it at Auburn too, right? Someone did it at Auburn.
I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was money.
Yeah.
It was money?
I think so.
Now, I think the one at Auburn was a car.
Yeah. And you got to pay the taxes on that thing.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
What are the
is you're
taxes
like,
on a
free
Porsche?
car, but
Mom,
Yeah.
I have
Dad.
no idea.
maintenance on that thing?
But
Have
maybe it
fun.
wasn't maybe it was an old Porsche.
Maybe.
Molly, what
Just send it to the auction house and make a profit off of it.
if you've got a Porsche in Lincoln, Nebraska driving around campus, are you going to get noticed?
Yes.
Really?
Actually, there was a person that drove
So you
a
think this
Porsche.
could potentially help out this young man's social life?
Why? It was an older guy.
Oh, was it? I
I
didn't.
think it was an
I'm
older
not
guy.
Was it an older guy?
I could
What do
tell
you
how old
consider
they
old? Wait a minute.
Well, he wasn't a student.
So he's probably like 32. It's
So
pretty
he
old.
was thinking like I was thinking and going, crap. Now I got to pay taxes on this thing.
Uh-huh. I guess you can. I mean, you can flip it, right?
That
I mean,
was
I guess you
him.
could just turn around and sell it. I don't know how that
Yeah.
works.
Sell it to pay your
I don't
tax.
think he's a student.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, definitely
Maybe
not.
he's
Well,
not a
Probably not a-
student.
I don't know. I had some older people in some of my
Yeah,
classes
man.
at
That's true.
Alabama that
Maybe
were
he
going
went back, completed his degree, or he just took his time,
Yeah,
enjoying the college life.
they've really taken his time. Wait, so what do the football players drive? Trucks,
Most of them.
typically? Okay, that makes sense.
Redbone, 50-year fan, ratings down because playoffs should start 2 weeks after conference championships, expanded to 16 teams, no buys, no home games, more bowls included, and computer rankings. What the
That's a
hey?
lot.
Let's try it.
So is he saying no buys in the season or just like for the playoff. Like it's just there's not
Yeah, no
really much of a
automatic buys
break.
for the playoff. Is
Oh,
the way I
I
read
was
it.
thinking like a bye week.
Yeah, everybody plays.
Okay, I got you.
Ronnie from Millbrook, I remember it snowing at the Sun Bowl years ago in El Paso. We're talking about weird weather patterns.
Mhm.
Roddy Orr, Tighter Insider, joining us.
Well, if you remember back, I think it was New Year's Eve, 1999. I think that was right before, remember, the world was going to come to an end, Landrum?
Yeah, Y2K.
Yeah, Y2K. It was the Independence Bowl in Shreveport as Mississippi State. You remember that absolute blizzard they played in at the Independence Bowl? That came out of nowhere.
Okay, this is a sidebar. Did people really think the world was going to end? Like, was that a widespread
Some
belief?
people thought
Yes.
the world was going to end,
Yes.
or that our financial system, because of the clocks and the
The computers.
computers,
Wasn't
they
like
were
all
gonna
the
reset to
planes were going to
zero
fall out of the sky
and everything.
or
Yeah,
something?
everything was
and
going to crash.
Well, the reason why is because everything is during that time was Microsoft systems. And so they had identified a couple years prior that there was a potential because a lot of the older computers may not recognize and then
Be able to switch over to the 2000s from
Yes.
the 1990s. Okay.
Wasn't
Yes.
the world going to end again in like 2012?
I saw that movie, yeah.
Yeah.
there's been a few of them.
I was in college at the time.
I
So
bet y'all
you
had
can
a crazy
imagine-
party that night.
We
didn't
did
you?
party like it was 1999.
Oh yeah,
And there was no tomorrow.
Yeah, my wife, we end up going to the Sheridan on 280.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Did you go to the club downstairs?
Yeah, it was
yeah.
There have
Uh-huh.
us and some friends
Husband and wife band.
went and spent the night and partied and did all that, and then we're like, okay, we'll see what happens at midnight.
And here you
And then
are.
what happened at midnight? Did everyone go crazy like New Year's or?
I was just kind of everyone looked at each other and go, oh, okay.
Oh, we're
No.
alive. Great.
If I had it to do over and knowing that potentially the world could end and that could be the end at midnight, I would have
Taking some risks.
done things much differently.
Oh.
I would not have been out that night. I would have made sure that I had all of my affairs in order.
He'd have been playing box 2 at home.
I would not have been playing box 2 either.
I can't be handcuffed when the world ends.
I'd have been reading a lot. I had a missed call from this number. I have no idea. Wasn't us.
I think it was Conrad.
might have
Conrad
been
just
Conrad.
randomly starts calling people.
Okay, we have had a problem. There's something with the phone system because somebody called us a minute ago and said, "Hey, did you call me?" I said,
Okay.
"No, this is
Sorry.
a radio show."
Apparently we did call you.
Yeah, sorry.
Our
It wasn't
apologies.
me. I didn't mean to.
Going back to my escape game adventure with my wife and the handcuffs, this one rolls in. It puts lotion on Landrum. Oh, yeah. It was kind of, it felt a little bit like that scene looked in Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill. Papa Smurf says,
In the dungeon or in his basement or whatever?
yeah.
Where he's
it was-
dancing or
It was dark. It had like old brick and chains bolted to the wall. You had knives and swords. You couldn't take those off of the wall. I can see where that
Were
would be
they
a problem.
real?
No, they looked real.
I was about to say, hopefully they're not real.
Go ahead, Pat.
No, I was just going to say, do you remember yesterday when we were talking about that one person? It was a Pat Ponders question that did not vote for Ichiro.
Oh, do we know who it is?
No, we don't know who it is, but Ichiro is doing his Hall of Fame press conference today. And he says that he would like to have that one writer that didn't vote for him into the Hall of Fame over to his house to have a drink together and have a good chat. Ichiro just does not look like the enforcer type guy. You know what I'm saying?
No, like I think he genuinely means that. He wants to be like, hey, why did you not vote for me and have an understanding?
So you're talking about just a friendly chat, not like I want to.
Well, no, that's how it comes off. But Ichiro seems like such a solid, like a nice guy. Like I could see him
Yeah.
legitimately just wanting to have an understanding.
What's
of
your
why.
beef with me?
Yeah, why didn't you vote for me? What did I do wrong?
Did I say something? It goes back to our conversation, though. Is this a personal grudge?
I think that it was a conspiracy. This is my conspiracy theory. Is because there's only a handful of people, obviously, that's ever been a perfect score. And they don't probably believe that he is worthy of that perfect score.
So Mariano Rivera is paying people off to not vote on their Hall of Fame ballots.
Rivera's got his own problems.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, wait, did I miss that?
Yeah, it's bad.
That's not good.
It's not good.
It stinks.
Potentially very bad.
Uh-oh.
Will you still wear his jersey?
I do not have one.
Papa Smurf says, did you see the episode of Impractical Jokers where Sal's punishment was he couldn't leave the escape room until he peed his pants? No.
I have not seen that one.
Go back and
I do
watch
like
that one,
Impractical
though.
Jokers, though.
A lot of comments on Pelham Panther and his call about suggestions for the Alabama coaching staff.
I mean, hey, I get it. Like, he listed a lot of coaches that have good resumes. It's, just in today's day and age. Does that translate?
We got more text, but this is the last one because we got to go to break. Eric says, I have a friend that won a Jeep on The Price is Right. And yes, you have to pay sales tax, and your state might require prize tax.
Oh.
Prize tax?
Isn't that why Oprah had to stop giving away cars?
You get a car.
Yeah, because everybody was like, oh, that's great. We got a car. And then all of a sudden,
You get a car.
you're walking out of the studio and they're handing you tax documents. Oh, what is this? I just need the keys. No, you have to pay for it. And because we're based in Chicago, Illinois, good luck paying the Illinois
I went
state
and watched
tax
a
on
live
that.
taping of Oprah, and I left $20,000 in debt. The Southern gentleman, Brett Norsworthy, in the next hour, his I Ain't Scared bold prediction for the 2025 college football season. Keep the text rolling in as well. Thursday, 3-man front.
It is 12 noon. Welcome back in. This is 3-Man Front. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. We'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum Show right here on Jocks 94.5. If you missed our previous interview with Rodney Orr from Tider Insider at 11 o'clock, or Sean Merriman, the former outstanding linebacker for the San Diego Chargers, he joined the show in the first hour of the show. You can go back and listen to it in its entirety, a great breakdown of the AFC and the NFC championship.
Yeah, and we got those games coming up. The ratings coming out last night. We got a lot of interaction on the text line for that and why the ratings are reflecting the third lowest total that we've had in the last 11 matchups.
It was the fifth worst since 1998. The fifth worst, and that's 27 games.
But 2 blue bloods, Pat. 2 blue bloods.
I mentioned this morning on what's your show called? The
Morning Jocks, Pat.
Morning Jocks. I can't remember. I thought it was the Damian Mitchell show.
Come on, Conrad.
Is that not the name of it?
Pick your head up. Come on.
It's Morning Jocks, and Pat was very kind to join me this morning and join the conversation.
We had a good time.
Were you just hanging out? Or
I was on.
Was Damian on?
45 minutes.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, text line is open 205-834-9450.
Well, what I brought up this morning. What?
Nothing. It's okay.
I'm interested in this information. I forgot it this morning. I want to hear it.
See, if you're on Jocks TV right now on YouTube, you can see Conrad in the
awkward.
It was awkward. It was awkward. I felt for him there.
Well, that's a great thing. When y'all talk, they can't see me. I can do whatever I want back here.
That's gross.
He can play box 1.
He's starting on box 2.
Okay.
We go in reverse order.
I brought this up this morning on the Conrad Van Order Slam Jam show.
Yes, that's more like it.
Yes. That every single year, Birmingham is the number 1 college football market in the country. Coming in always at number 2 or number 3 is Columbus, Ohio. And then you have Knoxville, you have New Orleans, you have Atlanta, you have Jacksonville, Florida. Those are always the cities that kind of go back and forth in the top 5, 6. So what did all those cities that I just mentioned have in common? They're all south of the Mason-Dixon line. And so when you have 2, although big brands in Notre Dame and Ohio State, I can't wait to see the breakdown of how many people in Knoxville, Tennessee, or Oklahoma City, or Austin, Texas, or New Orleans, or Birmingham tuned in for the national championship game. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that this was the 5th worst rated college football championship game since 1998.
Well, and we had one of our poll questions last week was essentially just asking people, are you going to watch the game?
Yep.
And the majority of our listeners said that they were not going to watch the game. And I remember, being kind of shocked by that and said, oh, surely they're going to have it on at least in the background. Well, maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
It seems like they stuck to their word on that.
And I understand that the inauguration, that a lot of people, it comes every 4 years. So a lot of people, they were more interested in that, especially when there's not a Southeastern Conference team involved. Maybe a lot of people in the Deep South that voted for Donald Trump, maybe they were watching that as opposed to watching 2 Yankee football teams play.
And it also came on a federal holiday in the observance of Martin Luther King Jr.
But get ready, because next year's national championship game is on Martin Luther King Jr. holiday as well.
I guess it will be, well, until they change and maybe the schedule change. But if it stays like this, it will be that way for the foreseeable future.
But with that, a lot of people being off work, being at home with the kids, or just being off work, watching all of the coverage that we had with the inauguration and throughout the day, and then you get the kickoff at roughly, 6:30, 6:45. That combination with the 2 teams that were involved. Because at least if you had Georgia or you had Texas, you would have a large contingent of SEC fans that are tuning in just hoping that they don't win the game. Or people who are pulling for the SEC and they want them to see somebody from the hated Big Ten or Notre Dame. Maybe it's just a combination of those things. But in coming years, it will be very telling to see in some of these particular matchup how many eyeballs are tuning in. I threw out the theory, Pat, that, and we're just spitballing here, throwing stuff against the wall, see what sticks. Is it the playoff format? Is it because you drew it out that much more? Were people just not as dialed in, kind of like you get with March Madness all the excitement and your casual fans that are there, because in the past we had the 2 games. Now we have much more than that, and it breaks out over what, a 3-week period, 3.5-week period. So maybe
I contend I think you should start the college football season earlier. I think you should start it
I'm for it.
a week or 2 earlier.
You know we're for it.
And then you could work in an additional bye to help teams out. And then you would find yourselves potentially getting to the actual college football playoff quicker. And then by doing that, you can incorporate maybe more of the bowls around the holiday season. And that maybe would give people some more availability and opportunity to go to certain games, as opposed to all of a sudden you come back to the first part of the year. A lot of people have already used all their vacation time in the month of December, and a lot of people don't get to roll theirs over. And we don't roll our vacation time over here at Cumulus. So, unless you got a different type of employer, not a lot of people can start taking a lot of time off in the month of January, especially when you just came back from a long holiday month. So also all those type things that they will have to look at, but don't be fooled, folks. ESPN is about what is going to put as many eyeballs on their TV sets. And if the advertising revenue is not present, they will make the changes.
I'd say that settles it.
205-834-9450 on the Jocks text line. And this one rolls in: NIL plus transfer portal equals fans losing interest. BB, our friend BB, said, I lived in Columbus in the 70s, and people there can't talk about anything but the Buckeyes, and they expect you to listen. It got so old.
Yeah, I mean, they have an absolutely massive fan base, but I mean, we even made the joke this morning, Pat, of, okay, so, last year when you have Michigan in there, they're probably more Ohio State fans watching that game than Michigan fans last year because they wanted to watch them lose after the cheating scandal.
Yep.
Jimmy says the committee got it right. By far, this year's semifinal and final were the most competitive, and by far the Final Four teams were the best, all caps, in all of college football.
I mean, you can't really argue against that. I mean, they had to win multiple games to get to the Final Four, but
I don't think Penn State was one of the 4 best teams.
I mean, I think I guess you can make an argument for Texas too, right? Because they lost to Georgia twice.
Some people would make the argument for Ole Miss, who didn't even get in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I was
they
about
were playing
to
at the
say,
end of the season.
When
now,
we get into the hypotheticals of teams what they were playing at their highest level, no, I don't think you had the 4 best teams, but Ole Miss showed in the bowl game that they were deserving.
Yeah,
Alabama did not.
Well, against Duke.
Hey, give them credit.
Oh.
They're smart over there. They're good at game planning.
Michael says, going back to Y2K, I got one for you. I was living in Jerusalem, New Year's Eve, 1999. Wow.
Wow, that's very interesting.
This listener had a friend that was going to Auburn at the time. We rolled tumors to ring in Y2K. Figured if the world ended, no one would know in Lee County. Mike and Trussville. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. Someone sending us in snow pics, beautiful dog, and said, heard y'all talking about snow in Texas. This is my house in Mobile. 8 inches. We're still thawing out. And Drake says, you guys are talking about the world ending. Have you seen the movie Don't Look Up? Yep.
I also have seen that. A movie I've seen.
And back to Ichiro not being a unanimous. This listener says Hank Aaron wasn't even a unanimous choice, which is wild. I'd love to get that explanation, Pat. More text. The Dutchman says, stinky fish, stinky fish. Just a reminder, because I love y'all and appreciate the great show you put on every day.
Yeah, we do need to do the stinky fish.
Yeah, I got to do it, Conrad.
He just keeps rolling along, just getting away with all that smack talk he gave during the college football season, and now we got to make him eat his words.
I'll say Alabama lost to Vanderbilt a long time ago.
Sure
I was
did.
about to say, had about 4 months to dwell on this now. Hasn't gotten any easier.
Jerry Barnett from Hayden says, heck no to Dumbo Fisher. We had a caller, in case you missed it, that really wanted to see Jimbo Fisher take over as offensive coordinator for Kalen DeBoer.
I was about to say, you really want to see the Alabama fan base freak out? That would do it.
And Cody says, I bet that the caller, Pelham Panther, thought that Bill Curry was a good hire because he had Bama ties. Well, he didn't have Bama ties.
He did not have Alabama ties.
That's what happens when you hire an outsider.
He played.
We're seeing it right now, Landrum. Got to get this guy out of Tuscaloosa.
Curry played at Georgia Tech.
He's a smarty. His son played at Virginia, right? I think so.
If only he could have engineered a winning program.
Keep the text coming in. We'll continue to get your text throughout the show on the Jocks text line, 205-834-9450.
So the way too early top 10, according to Joel Klatt.
Ooh.
Number 10, Michigan. Number 9, LSU.
Okay.
Number 8, Miami.
Okay.
Number 7, Clemson.
Yep.
6, Notre Dame. 5, Oregon.
Okay.
4, UGA.
Okay.
3, Ohio State.
Oh, Fox isn't going to like that.
Oh, yeah, they will. Trust me. Number 2, Texas.
All right.
No surprise.
And at number 1, according to Joe Klatt in his way too early top 10,
Alabama.
Penn State.
Oh.
Good grief, Joel.
So Fox will be completely fine with,
yeah, they
with Joe
will.
Klatt.
They will.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, he's still on that streak, isn't he?
It was either going to be Penn State or Illinois.
I was about to say, I'm surprised Illinois is not in the top 10 there.
Illinois will be the Indiana from this year. Brett Bielema is attacking Josh Pate.
Oh, that was great. Sir, this isn't a ranking. that was funny.
Danny Cannell is using Brett Bielema as a drafting partner against the SEC.
We'll see what he does. He's familiar with the SEC too.
Yes, he is.
It's nice when an active college football coach and an FBS program and a Power 4 takes time out of his day to recognize what you have done in talking about the sport and promoting the sport.
If you had asked me, on my bingo card, who was going to become the Lane Kiffin of the Big Ten, I don't think Brett Bielema was going to be my selection, but that appears to be the road that's the road we're heading down right now.
I could kind of see it. He was pretty chirpy when he was at Arkansas.
He just didn't have anything much to chirp about.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
but he was always ready to. But they were bad, like real bad.
It wasn't good. No.
I think,
Not Chad Morris bad, but it wasn't.
No,
it
you're
wasn't
right.
good.
but remember when he went out of his way he took a shot at Malzahn, wasn't it? Yeah, when he was at Auburn.
I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he insinuated something. I can't remember what it was, but he actually joined us on this show, and he was delightful. It was a great conversation.
It was a good interview.
Yep. Never got my gear, but that's fine.
Yeah, he was supposed to send gear, and he didn't do it.
And we did the old ILL whatever cheer. Yeah, he made us do it. He led it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe he'll come back on.
Yeah.
Cole probably got gear. We didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's a lot of roofing companies out there. If you have the experience and the true desire to take care of you, like my good friends over at Abide Roofing, call them today, 205-922-7134. Travis Lloyd, he's the guy you want to speak to over there. He put a new roof on my home a few years back, jumped through all the hoops with my insurance company. I thought I just had some shingles that were loose and was causing some problems. But unfortunately for me, I had to have a whole roof replacement, but it was not a problem with Abide Roofing and Travis Lloyd. He took care of all the details. The timeline was fantastic. The materials that they put on my roof was incredible. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Just a true pro in the industry. Get your free roof inspection today from Travis Lloyd over to Abide Roofing. The number to call is 205-922-7134. Again, free roof inspection. Call them today, 205-922-7134.
We are 15 minutes away from one of our favorites. He's a great friend of the show, Brett Norsworthy, the Southern gentleman. He's going to give us his I Ain't Scared bold prediction for the 2025 college football season. That and more. Keep the text rolling in as well. It's a Thursday, 3-Man Front and Jocks, 94.5.
The Southern gentleman, Brett Noseworthy, will join us from WHBQ Radio. He'll have his 2025 bold, I ain't scared prediction coming up for the 2025 season. I'm not sure if he'll go as bold as Joel Klatt did with his number one team in America being the Penn State Nittany Lions, which it does make sense. I mean, Singleton coming back, Aller's coming back. Unfortunately, James Franklin is coming back, so.
But you lost your defensive coordinator.
Correct. So.
Well, it would not be a bold move to choose second-generation masonry. Actually, it would be a safe move to give them a call if you're looking to upgrade and enhance your outdoor living area, whether it's your landscape steps, garden walls, stone patios, walkways, custom driveways, fire pits, outdoor fireplace. How about an outdoor kitchen just in time for spring, summer months when you like to entertain or just hang out with family and friends? Second-generation masonry, specializing in not only residential, but commercial construction here in the state of Alabama. Go to their website at secondgenerationmasonry.com. Look at some of the completed projects. It's not everything that they've done, but just gives you an idea of the quality, the craftsmanship you're going to get from our friends, a great Alabama-based company, Second Generation Masonry. Go to the website, secondgenerationmasonry.com. You can get a free quote today. Inquire about them. They're wonderful people. Secondgenerationmasonry.com. And as always, tell them Landrum from Three Man Front sent you.
Okay, so Molly cannot be involved in this conversation because she's the one that sent me this information. But
Cheater.
I want to see if you guys
Is that how that works?
can figure this out. All right, so the official numbers have come out on the most viewed and least viewed NFL teams this year.
Oh, okay.
Like who draws the most television audience and who drew the least.
Okay.
Goes without saying,
Dallas is going to be number one.
Dallas was not number one.
Oh, that's what I get for assuming things.
See, I thought this would be easy, Molly.
It was easy for me.
So then is it KC?
Detroit.
Really?
I was shocked too.
The most watched? Wow.
The most, yep. Their average viewership per game was more than any team in the National Football League. Over 22 million people.
Wow.
More people tuned in for a Detroit Lions game in week 7 than they did the college football national championship last night
That's awesome.
or Monday night.
That's very cool,
Huge,
actually.
yeah.
So coming in at number 2 is Dallas.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone loves a train wreck, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What was that? How much lower were they than Detroit?
Only about 200,000 viewers.
Okay. I was about to say, it's got to be close.
Okay. Coming in at number 3, you guys want to take a shot?
Going to number 3 would have been.
I'm going to go KC. They're on all the time.
We'll go Eagles.
Go Eagles. Eagles were number 10.
That's kind of surprising.
Kansas City was number 3.
Okay.
Number 4, take a shot.
AFC or NFC?
It's all combined.
No,
Oh, you're asking if it's an AFC or NFC team. It is an NFC team.
49ers.
Good guess. 49ers are 8th.
Packers.
Packers.
Okay.
Conrad's on a roll.
Sure is. Number 5, coming in with 20.99 million viewers per game. This is an AFC team.
Steelers.
Steelers is not a top 10 team.
I'm going to go Buffalo.
Baltimore.
I was
Okay.
about to say Ravens. Yeah.
Okay.
The New York Giants was 6th.
Really?
Yeah.
My God.
Chicago Bears was 7th.
Yeah.
Okay. You're excited about Caleb Williams, maybe. Yeah.
8 was San Francisco. 9 was Buffalo. And 10 was the Philadelphia Eagles. So that is your top 10 most viewed football teams during the regular season.
Now I'm fascinated where the Jets are. If the Giants are at 6.
Who finished last? Do
where
we
are
have
the
that?
Jets?
Absolutely. That's a great segue there, partner. Coming in at number 10. So this is we're going to go 10 to 1.
Okay.
Least-
So 1 will be the least
Least.
viewed. Okay.
least viewed.
Gotcha.
At number 10, Tua Tagovailoa's team.
Well, it's because he was out half the year.
Oh, wow. Making excuses. Coming in at number 9, the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. Not a surprise.
Atlanta Falcons. Seattle Seahawks at number 7.
I feel like we're going to go on a roll with Birds. Next would be the Cardinals.
Broncos.
Okay. So now we're in the bottom 5.
Bottom 5. Number 5. Take a guess?
Jaguars.
Jacksonville.
No.
Are they lower?
Colts.
Patriots.
Okay, yeah, that probably weren't super fun to watch. Yeah.
Number 4, it was a bad team. It kind of surprised me.
A bad team that surprised you. The Jets.
Raiders.
Huh. I would think they would still, I mean, they have a passionate fan base.
Yeah. All right, we're down to the worst 3 viewed NFL franchises this year. Number 3.
The Titans.
No.
Oh, that's a good guess. I've already said them.
Have you already said them?
Yes, you did.
Did he?
Mhm.
Okay.
Cardinals.
It is the Cardinals.
Okay.
Good teamwork, Mom.
You're welcome.
Coming in as the second least viewed team in the National Football League at 6.4 million viewers per game.
Ooh.
That's rough.
6.4 million. What franchise?
Carolina.
Cleveland.
Carolina and Cleveland, neither one in the bottom 10.
Oh.
Good for you, Bryce Young. You
The
brought some viewers
Jacksonville
back.
Jags.
Okay, so they're number 2, and then
Number 1, who do you think is the least viewed NFL team at 5.61 million?
Titans. They were bad.
Yeah, we're bad.
Because, see, I want to say, because it's not going to be like the Jets. People are going to watch them. Other teams are bad. Yeah, I'm going to go Titans.
I was thinking Colts maybe, but Titans.
Okay. I said Titans. You said Colts.
Titans.
Okay.
Oh, man. Poor Will Levis.
5.61 million. Now, I will point out, and Molly was just telling me that apparently there was some inconclusive data on the Carolina Panthers. So I think we all agree Carolina would probably fit into the bottom 10.
No, Bryce Young was having people. I mean, people were clawing at their TVs to
Maybe the
watch
second
Bryce
half
Young.
of the season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm sure that they were the most watched team the second half of the year, I bet.
That is staggering to think of a franchise like the Tennessee Titans
Yeah, with Nashville, too.
with 5.61 million viewers.
I mean, they were real. I mean, obviously they were bad. They were the worst team in the NFL. They have the number 1 pick, but that's still, yeah, I don't know. That's still kind of surprising. You had a new head coach. You would think maybe there'd be a little bit more optimism there, but I
The
guess
ones in the
guess
bottom
not.
10 to me surprised me. Titans surprised me. Broncos had a good product.
That
Yeah.
surprised me.
Oh yeah.
Why? I mean, Seattle,
Ryan
Decent
Grubb.
team.
Nobody wants to watch him, right?
yeah. Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Do we not all? I thought everyone loved Tua.
But for the Giants to be in the one of the top 6 most watched teams, the only thing I can think of is because in the NFC East, you got the Cowboys, Eagles, and Commanders.
I was about to say they had 6 games this year that everyone wanted to watch. So do you know where the Jets are?
The Jets they're not listed in the bottom 10 or the top 10.
I'd just
Do
be
you have
so
that?
fascinated.
I
Just
think
with
Molly's
the
getting
fact that, because I would think
They were the 19th most watched team.
that's shocking to me how big of a gap that is, because I would think just simply from the drama perspective,
Right.
more people would want to watch the Jets than the Giants, but it probably is the
So you said the
NFC
Jets
East.
were 19th
Mhm.
most watched?
19.
Wow.
And I guess they played where the Giants get to play the NFC East. The Jets are playing the Patriots and Dolphins, who are 2 of the bottom 10
Right.
most watched teams. Yeah. Okay.
Very interesting. So the Titans got nowhere but go, but up.
Well, Aaron Glenn doesn't have as much pressure then, because nobody's going to watch.
That is true. The Southern Gentleman's going to join us next. Brett Norsworthy from WHBQ Radio. He's next. Welcome back. It's Three Man Front here on Jocks 94.5. It has been a great pleasure every Thursday on this program. I guess we started, mid-August with our next guest, Brett Norsworthy.
We try to give him a break. Otherwise, I would love to have him on every day.
Absolutely. He's a busy man. He doesn't have time for this frivolity with us.
I know.
He has an award-winning show that he does in Memphis. He's got other things.
But he has such a big heart. He gives back, and this is what he's doing.
Yeah, either that or community service work.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
he gets punished.
He's built many homes and ladled out plenty of soup in his day.
Yes. Brett Norsworthy joins us here on Three Man Front. Was that intro good enough for you there, pal?
It was terrific, guys. I have absolutely enjoyed being with y'all and Conrad and Molly all year, and we're going to do it again next year. And look, we're going to have to check in during spring football and a time or two during the summer at SEC Media Days. But we'll get our regular Thursday started back in August, and it'll get here quickly. For me, this is a sad day because it's over. This college football season is over. Much discussed. We were so looking forward to it because of the expanded college football playoff. Now we've had it. We enjoyed it. Had some thrills. Had some heartbreak. But it's over. And after a long, cold, lonely winter, we'll get back around to college football again.
All right, so let's talk about what happened on Monday night in Atlanta. Not that anybody was shocked that Ohio State won the national championship based on the way that they have played during this expanded tournament, but just your overall thoughts on how the tournament itself worked out and what changes you would like to see, if any.
I think in the end, it did produce the best team. I think Ohio State was in that mix, from day one with Oregon, Georgia, Texas as the most talented teams. Alabama was probably right there in that group in the preseason. Ole Miss was discussed in that group, and Penn State and some others. And when we went through the whole season, they had to slip up out in Eugene in the regular season, and then the last game of the year. And I think it is very ironic that we have our first two-loss national champion since LSU in 2007. So we went that long without another two-loss champion, and that probably could very much become the norm. You can slip in the regular season, maybe even twice, maybe in your championship game, and still get to the playoffs and get things righted. Ohio State did. They had a remarkable team, and I have no animus at all of how they acquired it. Look, they did it legally. It's legal to go out there, and everybody that's not doing it needs to do it. And everybody that's doing it needs to do it even better. You got to rattle that tin cup and raise the money, because we're not going back. We're not going back in playoff structure. We're not going back in pay. We're only going forward, and it's going to be expensive to go forward. Ohio State, they are committed. For Notre Dame, if they had won, we'd been talking about them winning for the first time since '88. But instead, they're still in the wilderness. I mean, since 1988, and can they win it with these multi-tiers you have to go through now? The old way was probably better for Notre Dame to kind of thread that needle, undefeated in the regular season, then get ready for that one big bowl game like they did in '73 in New Orleans against Alabama, like they did in '77 against Texas, like they did in '88, surviving the game against Miami, and then running into a West Virginia team. I don't know that they can win 4 games in the playoffs and win one. They'll run into too many good teams.
Brett, we've been discussing the television numbers that were revealed yesterday, and they were down from last year, the third lowest total that we've had in the last 11 college football playoff national championships. But with the new format, the seeding, the quality, competitiveness of the games, the 2 teams that were involved with the championship, how much did college football, the product that is, help itself moving forward with this new format that we got in this inaugural year?
I think it helped, but I think it was incremental instead of that big giant step that we thought it would be. And most of it's because we were disappointed in some of the lack of teams from our area, from the SEC in it, and going real deep. Texas did, but we're still getting accustomed to them being in the SEC. They're a member, but we don't have that allegiance to them. I mean, we don't really chant SEC, for Texas yet. We'll get there with it, and they'll earn it. So I think it did incrementally. It didn't. It was good. I enjoyed the ball, but it didn't do it for me like I thought it would. The games on campus didn't, and those were some different matchups. And I don't like, and I warned against it. I've always been for a playoff, but I don't want the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl to just be another day. And they felt like it. Kirby Smart even said all the years, whether on a staff or as head coach of Georgia, of going to the Sugar Bowl, that it felt like just going to another game. And I love all those bowl operators and all those games I just mentioned. I've been to all those, and I don't want those just to be another road trip. And it felt like it this year. And, going forward, I think we'll go to 14 for sure. I don't know about 16 quite as much, but, it's only going to get bigger. And I don't like seeing somebody win the Sugar Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. I want some sanctity in the bowls, but that may be lost forever.
Well, that was my next question, because you're very close with the folks that run the Liberty Bowl. Do they have any kind of information or inkling what it might look like in the future with these bowl games? Would they be more incorporated in regards to another expanded, if they go to 16 teams or 14 teams in the college football playoff? Would they try to bring in more bowl games into the mix, like a Liberty Bowl or another bowl of that ilk?
I think they will. I think they could, but I wouldn't count on that. I would beg some bowl. I have begged the Liberty Bowl people. I would beg the Birmingham Bowl people. I would beg some of the others. I'm not trying to diminish anyone, but someone like the Independence Bowl, you want to get some instant some instant gravitas. Have your game week 0. Have it week 1. Call it the Independence Bowl. Go out there and invite whomever you'd like, whether it's Liberty Bowl or Birmingham Bowl or Music City Bowl or any of the bowls that aren't currently now in the college football playoff structure. Who says we got to do that? Around the holidays, do it to start the game, the season, and pay somebody a big fee to come play in your game. We used to kind of do that up in New Jersey in that Meadowlands game that we all can remember. Auburn played in it, Alabama played in it, and it was a lot of fun way to kick off the season. Maybe try that. They're going to have to try something different, because the model that we have now, it's going away. I don't see how enough interest, and even having players being motivated to come to the game. They don't want to come just for the gift pack. They don't want just the commemorative watch. They want cash money, and maybe somebody think about doing it early in the year.
To your point, Brett, and some of those games, if you want to think outside the box and maybe put some of those at the beginning of the year, with the schedule itself for the entirety of the college football season, do you think that any tweaks that we could see to future schedule and format, maybe starting the season a little bit earlier, maybe a week or two earlier, and not pushing so close into the NFL playoffs and the championship games, of course, coming up this Sunday?
Well, it sure could. And Roger Goodell is not going back on it. He's going to 18 games. So we're even going to have a more crowded NFL schedule. And I think if we move up too much earlier, week 0 is really hot, and week 1 is last week of August for last year and for this upcoming season in 2025. It would almost have to be sponsored by the dermatology lobby in Washington, D.C., because the skin cancer and the sunburns are going to be prolific if we move up anymore. I mean, it's just going to be brutal to sit out there in that heat. Of course, LSU will want to get out of it with a state law by not having anything kick off earlier than 6 o'clock.
All right, so we will have spring ball coming up later, couple months. Things will get underway. As far as the Ole Miss Rebels go, what they have done so far in the transfer portal, the way that they are constructing this roster with the quarterback that is supposedly going to take the reins now over Jackson Dart, where is this football team right now? Do most people around the football program feel really good about this roster and the way it's going to look? Could we be talking about Ole Miss again in the same conversation we did this previous year for the college football playoff?
Very same conversation, Pat. Playoffs, that's the goal. Now, it did not get there this year, and we were heartbroken over not getting there. And everybody that wanted to needle at Ole Miss for Last Dance, the Last Dance was for Jackson Dart and Caden Prescorn and Ulysses Bentley and Jeremy James and Walter Nolan. It wasn't the end of football at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to be real good next year, and right now I fully expect them to be in the playoffs next year, 10-2, and that would have gotten them in this year. and it should next year. And I can't wait for everybody to see what Lane Kiffin's going to do with Austin Simmons at quarterback. The national reaction after about 6 weeks next year is going to be, he's done it again. He did it with Matt Corral. He did it with Jackson Dart, and he's doing it with the smooth lefty. He's going to do it again next year. And Lane Kiffin starting his 6th year at Ole Miss. That should be a big summertime story because nobody had that. I would have never dreamed of that. You know, I thought 2, 3, maybe 4 years. And starting year 6, that should be applauded.
Brett, we got over-under win totals for the SEC next year. We got some of those out yesterday. Between Texas at 10.5 wins and Georgia at 10.5 wins, who would you feel better or safer about going over with?
I'd feel better about Georgia than Texas because I think Kirby is more of a known, proven commodity than Steve Sarkisian. I'm really surprised they got to the Final Four, but you know, for Texas not to get to the finals, that had to be falling real short for them. And I can tell you now, week 1, I'll join y'all for week 0, but week 1 next year, I can tell you I ain't scared pick right now, and it's going to be Virginia Tech straight up over South Carolina in Atlanta.
Ooh, man, he's finishing up on a big one right there. Well, we're going to ask you if there was a 2025 bold prediction, but you've already come out of the gate and given us a week 0. That's huge.
In fact, Virginia Tech starts 2-0, both in the SEC. It's like they joined the SEC, and I didn't get the memo. They'll beat South Carolina week 1, and they'll get revenge over Diego Pavia week 2 in Blacksburg.
Oh my goodness, man! Good old Brett. Telling us the way it is.
He never disappoints.
No, not at all. How about your alma mater getting a win last night in the Southeastern Conference? You excited about that?
They got a win last night. I'm going Saturday. I got to put on my basketball hat a little bit. Went to Grizzlies last night. We'll go to Grizzlies tomorrow night. Going to Fayetteville Saturday for Arkansas against Oklahoma. Next Wednesday night, I'm going to go to Oxford for Ole Miss in Texas. Got Ole Miss in Kentucky coming up in Oxford. I'm going to go back to Fayetteville for Arkansas and Texas late February. I'm going to go to Oxford for Ole Miss in Georgia early March. So it's time to put the basketball hat on. But I like college basketball, and I like it all. But there's no passion. I have no passion for anything like I have it for college football and for Major League Baseball. And I think that's the 2 most tradition-rich sports in America on the American sports scene. I like going to basketball. I like the other sports, but you let me go to Busch Stadium, you let me be at college football, particularly the SEC, and that's when it really burns.
There is no doubt about it. Is our Birds going to be any good this year? Are we going to be anywhere?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, it's gonna be like it was in the 70s, and we know what that feeling was like. Now we know all those years what it felt like to be a Cub fan and know you had no prayer going to spring training.
Even as a Braves fan, I hate to hear that because we get Pouty Pat, and then he comes to grips with it about August, and then he gets happy again because we got football. But during that other time, Brett, when the Cardinals are not playing well, we get Pouty Pat.
Hey, that's okay. I did get to see. I mean, it was really cool last year. And basically, I call Birmingham now my hometown. I was not born here, but I moved here. Lived here a long time. And being able to see the Cardinals play at Rickwood Field was unbelievable. That was a big time highlight. So
it looked great, and you know I'm going to go to Busch Stadium this year. I'm going to go up I'm not going until football season. Really, I'm not going until after Labor Day next year. I'm going to go when they play the homeless A's, not the Oakland A's, not the Sacramento A's, but the homeless A's.
That's right. But it's funny. They don't want to call them the Sacramento A's, but they released this morning. They have a patch on their uniform shoulder that says Sacramento. It's just Major League
Baseball. We call them the Sacramento Patch A's?
I guess. Why not?
That's what I'm going and look forward to it. But I'm looking forward to SEC Media Days, and I've already got circled after on Thursday we'll end SEC Media Days, and on Friday it's Yankees and the Braves in Atlanta, and I'll be there. Landrum, you need to go to that.
Oh, did you know that?
You don't have to twist my arm.
Did you know that?
What?
So the Friday after SEC Media Days, it's the Braves and Yankees.
Yeah. We'll be there.
Conrad, did you know that?
I did not know that.
And
And I love that ballpark. I love Truist. Been a couple of times. That'd be fun. But
you just want to see
we'll
Paul
visit, and
Goldschmidt. That's all you want to do. You want to go see Goldschmidt in a Yankee uniform.
I do. And anytime to see the Bronx Bombers, but also to see the Braves and that ballpark, they've really done it right.
They have. The battery's awesome. I want to stay in the Omni.
It is.
Overlooks the outfield. But
well, get your reservation.
I'm going to have to. No, that's not. It's quite a few shekels. I don't know if you've seen the prices for those, but they're pretty high.
Yeah, that's where all the teams stay too.
If you can't afford an All-Star ticket though to this year's All-Star game at Truist, you can just go and watch the Dodgers and Yankees when they play.
And the All-Star game is same week of media days. So that'd be a good party that Tuesday night.
Oh wow,
Fun. Yeah.
2 years in a row because it was in Arlington this past year.
that's right, and you didn't go.
It sure was.
No, 'cause you didn't buy my ticket, Pat.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
He
I
was at the
supposed to
hookah
bankroll
lounge.
everybody.
He was at the hookah lounge
No,
looking
him and
for Paul
hey,
Feinbaum.
you know what it was? Him and Ty Richardson were supposed to go hang out together that night, and then Ty left him at the hotel.
Alter. Oh,
How about that?
Alter.
It happens.
You too.
It's those Arkansas alums. You can't trust them.
Ty's a good boy though.
He is fantastic. All right, my friend. I will talk to you soon, and thank you as always. Great football season.
Thank y'all. It has been an absolute blast. And I talk about y'all's great audience, and it is the best college football audience out there. Now, I want to tell your audience something. The reason why you get what you get, because you got professionals at Jocks. Jocks is thriving, and you can turn it on there all day, every day, and get the best college football information because that audience demands it, and y'all deliver it.
Brother, we appreciate you. We'll
Thank
talk
you,
soon.
Brett.
You got it.
That is Brett Nordsworthy. Listen to him afternoons, WHBQ radio, and obviously during the college football season on the Ole Miss Radio Network. More of Three Man Front here on Jocks 94.5. So the calendar has turned to 2025, and that only means that the deals are still being had at Courtesy GMC there in Trussville. Go by and see them right off of I-459 exit 32. Right now, the 2025 Sierras this month up to $12,000 off MSRP on the 2025 GMC Sierra 4-wheel drive with that SLT Premium Plus package. They've also got a closeout sale going on the 2024 GMC Terrains. $7,500 off MSRP. This fantastic two-row small SUV starts as low as $24,999. The all-new 2025 Yukon is there on site. This vehicle is absolutely amazing. Need to get by and take a look and take a test drive. Equipped with the brand new technology and a 15-inch infotainment screen, this vehicle is second to none. And remember, Courtesy has the lowest pricing in the state of Alabama on all new GMCs in stock. They have a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty on all new GMCs. Go by and see Josh Gargis, Drew Lawley, and that fantastic team there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville, or visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
We're just joined by Brett Norsworthy. Always a great visit with the Southern Gentleman. Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider in the 11 o'clock hour. Sean Merriman, former NFL linebacker, breaking down the NFC and AFC games this championship Sunday. All of that found on the podcast at jocksfm.com. A lot of text coming in on the text line, 205-834-9450. As always, a lot of different topics people responding to. And Michael says, Mike Dubose had Alabama ties. How did that work out? Going back to a caller that said that should have hired someone with the Alabama ties instead of Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, that one didn't work out.
Robert wants to know, why is there so much dislike for Nick Sheridan? He's better off without Milroe. Give him another year. This is just one season. It should get better. How about Jalen Milroe, by the way, the latest projection for him?
Yeah, first round to the Steelers, potentially. Seems to be a little bit of buzz.
Does that excite you if you're a Steelers fan?
I would think not. But you've also been looking for a quarterback since Ben retired, so see what sticks, I guess.
Is Neil O'Donnell still around?
Is Cliff Stout still around?
Mike Tomczak.
Harbaugh.
Was it Hines Ward that was the quarterback and then turned into wide receiver? Or was that Antoine Randall L? I can't remember which one of them.
Hines Ward.
Yeah,
Hines Ward. Okay.
Because Hines Ward was at Georgia.
What's his name that played at Colorado? Quarterback.
Cordell Stewart.
Yep. Seeing all the Steelers quarterbacks from past years.
Yes. Mitchell Trubisky. No.
Back to Y2K. My Y2K story. My youth group at church had a lock-in that night to celebrate the new year. When the clock struck 12, the pastor cut the power to the church as a joke. Then
That
came
is
running
funny.
through
That's
the door,
good.
screaming at us, telling us to take cover. Scared us all half to death, but he thought it was funny.
That's funny.
hilarious.
Pastor with a sense of humor. I
I
love
was
it.
about to say, you got to have a sense of humor in times
Absolutely.
like that, right?
Yeah. Back to Penn State being number one, and Joel Klatt picking them number one for next season. Fox gets to stroke themselves for the number one Penn State and gets to manufacture, outrage at Ohio State not being number one. Truly a gift to Fox Sports in this case.
Well, ESPN's Game Day outdrew them by what? Couple million on Saturday mornings?
Yeah, over Big Noon kickoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Game day still place most people seem to go.
Highest ratings that Game Day's ever had.
Brett Bielema will never look like adult, will never not look like adult Butthead to me from Beavis and Butthead. Fire.
I never heard that one before. That's good.
I just now thought about it, but yeah, I guess it is good. Michael says viewership per NFL team usually commiserates with the size of the team's market. Packers, KC, and Green Bay are the exception. They're nationally recognized teams. That's why the pathetic New York Football Giants are in the top 10.
Well, we pointed out, I mean, the fact that they played in the NFC East, where you had the Commanders and the Cowboys and the Eagles, I mean, just by accident.
But that's why it was interesting. The Jets were 19th because they both had the New York market. Just the Giants benefited from a
Better
much
division.
more. Yeah.
Dutchman reminds us that Randall L. was a quarterback in Indiana, but he played wide receiver in the NFL.
Okay, there we go. That's what I thought.
Welcome back. It's the fourth hour of Three Man Front here on Jocks 94.5. We'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum show at 2 o'clock. No telling what kind of anthill Paul Feinberg's going to kick over today. Some lively conversations yesterday on his program.
I caught part of it yesterday, yeah.
Always good to hear Jim from Tuscaloosa.
Always.
One of the all-time best.
Paul's good at what he does. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, don't give him a big head.
No, you've already done that.
Sitting here just looking over some of these wonderful preseason rankings. We were talking about Joel Klatt's that came out. Where did we have Penn State, Molly, in our Never Too Early? They were a top 10, were they not?
Yeah, I want to say
Yeah.
like six
or seven?
We had him in there.
I
Yeah, we
mean-
had Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State.
I found it. Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame, Penn State,
Okay.
Clemson, Miami, Tennessee, Alabama. That was our top 10.
Okay.
Where did Conrad have Illinois?
What number one?
No, they're number 2 behind Alabama, obviously.
Oh, duh.
They're
Come
number
on.
2.
Come on, Molly.
Yeah, so Joe Klatt had Penn State number 1 in his Never Too Early top 10 list. We also been talking a lot about last night's television ratings that was released for Monday night's national championship game. 22.1 million tuned in to watch the Buckeyes win the national championship. That is a decrease of 12% from last year's title game between Michigan and Washington. 3 million less than last season. The game was the 5th least watched title game in college football history. The other thing that is a problem for ESPN is 3 of the last 5 college football national championship games have been some of the least watched in the history of college football. So they will try to get that turned in the right direction.
I can't wait until we get the by market reveal for Birmingham. For as many people that we heard that said that they were not going to watch the game.
It was what, 60%?
I know we didn't talk to
on our
thousands
poll?
of people, but we usually don't get that much. Yeah. So I would like to see if the share was a lot lower than it was either last year or potentially some other years, not involving Alabama. Now, there's some people that believe that since Alabama has only won one national championship, I say only, that's what they said in the text, but in the last, 7 seasons? Is that correct?
Since
See, 2020. Yeah.
So it'll be 21, 22, 23,
For Alabama,
24,
1 in
25.
7 years.
Yeah. And then 2017.
17. Yeah.
But 1 in 7 years and that average, that's the difference. Not having that
Sickening.
Alabama brand.
Sickening.
All-time Texas USC back in 2005. That was the most watched
Man,
national championship
What a
game.
game that
I was
was.
about to say, you could argue that's the best college football game of all time.
36 million people tuned in to that game. And then the second most watched was Ohio State and Oregon back in 2014.
First year of the playoff, everybody wants to see how it plays out. Yeah.
That was-
34.1 million tuned into that one.
Texas USC in 2005. That was ABC, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
It was on
also
ESPN in
part of that.
2014. Alabama, Texas in 2009 of our teammate Greg McElroy. That is the third most watched college football national championship.
Was Colt hurt?
What?
Colt McCoy, was he hurt?
Oh. No, he just didn't want to play anymore.
That's what I figured.
He was scared.
I heard that.
The fourth most watched all time, 2002, Ohio State and Miami.
Okay.
And then round out top 5 was 2006, Florida, Ohio State. That was on Fox. You remember when Fox had it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird.
Yep, 2006.
Just felt weird.
But we were talking about the least watched. That was Georgia TCU. That happened back in 2022. Only 17 million people tuned in to that game.
I tuned in, then I tuned out.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
I just started getting updates on my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, Georgia scored again.
Yeah.
And if you remember that game, it also started raining inside the stadium
Yeah, coming in SoFi through the sides.
to the sideways.
Oh, yeah. Gotta watch out for that sideways rain.
But the other
I
night's
could use some rain right now.
national championship game was barely above the 4th worst watched game, which was Miami, Nebraska.
Woo.
Sorry, Molly.
Yeah.
2001. Not a lot of people tuned into that one.
No.
I didn't either.
There's probably a good reason why that you didn't.
Yeah.
But there is something called YouTube. So you can go back and watch it.
Yeah, we invite you to. You ever seen any games involving Tommy Frazier?
Yeah,
Like
actually,
clips? Do they play it like a montage on the video board?
they do. We have to relive the good old days.
Who is the most beloved
Those were the great old days.
player in Nebraska history?
Beloved in Nebraska history, people really like Rex, Johnny Rogers, Mike Rozier.
Rozier,
Mhm.
throw that out there.
Rozier was good.
Yeah, he comes around a lot.
Hmm.
You see Johnny Rogers a lot too.
Where would Eric
The
Gilbert?
Jet.
Where would he land on the odd times?
I don't think he's in Lincoln anymore.
Does he still have the vape store?
I'm sure it's still there.
I was about to say, oh, you mean because of all the inventory he took, he opened his own?
Is he at Sacramento State?
He might as well be. Didn't he enter the transfer
I'm
portal?
about to say he's in the portal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Is
he's
he
in
still in the
right
portal?
now. Not when Zach Potter gets listens in on this and sees he's available.
Come to Sacramento State.
They're going to be a powerhouse next year. Just watch.
I saw, speaking of Zach Potter,
Mhm.
his former team, there are a lot of rumors flying around Landrum
Giddy up, giddy
that the
up.
Birmingham Stallions are bringing back Alex Magoo as their quarterback.
Oh,
Dun, dun.
looky there.
Yep. Grow the hair out.
The Nebraska quarterbacks just think they're too good for us now, I guess, right, Molly?
Yeah. I
Now,
guess
Matt
so.
Corral's
Well,
still on the
that.
roster, right?
I think Corral's there.
is.
He is, yeah.
And then the what's his face from that play that played at Wake Forest and Notre Dame. What was his name? Hartman.
Is he still on it?
I don't know.
He's
I
on
know
a
he was
practice
he was
squad, I
drafted.
think.
Because I saw him on the sideline.
Yeah, I forgot who he plays for. He has been on an NFL team this
I mean, he
year.
was
The Commanders.
yeah, he was
Oh, okay.
Okay.
looky
he was
there.
in street clothes, but he was sitting next to Jay Daniels.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's him and Marcus Mariota, and then I guess Hartman's their third guy, maybe.
Golly. Oof.
Yeah.
Be really disappointed after Daniels if he went down.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Be a little bit of a little tough.
This looks so much different.
Just a tad.
Yeah, just a little bit.
By the way, a text came in on Jalen Milroe, and there's a projection out there that the Steelers, that's a quarterback that they have fallen in love with, and they think that his upside is just huge. And the text comes in and says, as a Bama and Steeler fan, dating back to the 70s, please no Milroe to Pittsburgh.
I was about to say, I feel like there's one of my very good friends. He's an Alabama fan, and we went to college together. And his family is all Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I feel like there's a lot of Steelers fans around Birmingham, surprisingly.
When it's funny when you go to and you're traveling, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but if it's an NFL weekend, if it's during the course of the NFL season, you will see a ton of Steelers, Cowboys, just the who's who of NFL teams.
Correct.
Kind of opened my eyes to how many NFL fans travel to either go and watch their team if they don't live in the city where their team resides, or going and watching a game in another city. The fandom's out there. It's real.
Well, that's one of the cool things about Birmingham, too, is if you're not a Falcons fan, or I guess a Saints fan, you just get a large kind of a melting pot of all these different fan bases because it's, well, it's kind of free reign here because we don't have an NFL team in Alabama.
I know more Saints fans, of Titans obviously, but I know more Saints fans in Birmingham than I do Falcons fans.
Yes. I would agree with
Which is
that.
weird. I'm a diehard Braves fan, but I've never been a Falcons fan. There was some intrigue there when Jerry Glanville took over and they went to the all black and they changed up the uniform scheme. But
When Dion played for him.
yeah,
Landry just doesn't like Kirk Cousins. That's really what it is.
no, I love Kirk Cousins.
I thought Kirk Cousins did a great job when he was on television.
Oh, I thought you were going to say playing this year. Yeah, he was good on television.
No, I was not going to say that.
He was good on TV. He has a bright future.
He's a
there.
good dude. Jerry from Hayden says Terry Bradshaw could come back and be better than Milroe. I don't know.
I'd like to see that.
Stallions apparently only have Matt Corral and Jamar Smith as quarterback.
I was about to say, I knew Jamar
Look.
was still there. He's been there all 4 years now, correct?
We don't really start studying the roster until camp begins. to be fair.
So what mock draft was saying that Milroe was going to?
It was a, oh man, what was his name? Andrew
Filipponi.
Filipponi.
The Pony Express.
That's right. Yeah, he covers the Steelers. He does a radio show up there in Pittsburgh, and he was saying that apparently some of the scouts for the Steelers have identified Jalen Milroe as a potential franchise level quarterback, and that they are going to get to spend time with him at the Senior Bowl. Tomlin's going to be down there, and there are strong indications that they will look his way if he's available at 21.
I was just looking at my Bible when it comes to the mock draft, and that's Pro Football Focus. I was just looking at their details on Jalen Milroe.
What'd they say? Do they have projected like a projected round for him?
No, they have not gone into the mock. They just have breaking down the positions as far as quarterbacks go.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got Jalen Milroe listed. Cam Ward's 1, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, then Milroe.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot different than my fan sided.
I was about to say, yeah, I've seen. I'm interested.
But they have his
Dylan Gabriel's
his
that high up
big
there.
board rank is 70th, the 70th best player on the board.
Well, it was always going to be hey, someone's desperate for a quarterback. They fall in love with his personality and his measurables, and they just take a chance. Who knows? Maybe it'll work out. Maybe
it will.
maybe
Quinn Ewers, is
someone
he
will
going to
fix
go
it.
ahead of Milroe?
I do not. I would guess not. But anything's possible. So, I mean, it could be like a couple years ago with Baby Hands, Kenny Pickett, where he goes in the first round, and then after that, you really didn't see any other quarterbacks go until round 3 or 4. So maybe it's Cam and Shedeur go off the board early, and everyone else just kind of bides their time.
Jake says he's not an NFL GM, but that seems dumb.
I will say the quarterback that I've seen in terms of a quarterback to watch that could rise up draft boards very quickly is Jackson Dart. I've seen apparently a lot of NFL people are very high on Jackson Dart.
He's got his own plane. Susan in Avondale texts in. She says Franco Harris, Mean Joe Green, Bradshaw, and now Minka and Najee. Well, for now, go Steelers. What's the deal with Najee's contract?
Let's see. He left after 2020, so
No,
This
this
is
is
the
the
last
last year,
Yeah.
but the Steelers chose not to go ahead and extend that thing. So
yeah,
he's going to be playing for another team.
I would think so.
He's
Yep.
had a heck of a career so far.
Yeah, I think he's been over 1,000 yards 3 of his 4 years in the NFL. I mean, he's solid. It's just
No, the problem is he had Matt Canada as an offensive coordinator.
well, and people are like, well, is he really that good of a running back? Well, when you don't have a quarterback the entire time, teams can kind of sell out on the run a little bit. It makes your life more difficult. Maybe he'll go to the Ravens too. Derrick Henry and Najee Harris in the backfield.
So it's interesting because the folks in the media in Cleveland got an opportunity to talk to their new offensive coordinator today, Tommy Rees.
Oh, yeah.
And so apparently they were asking him probably some draft questions.
Yes.
And he was asked about former Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, whom he coached as his OC. This is a direct quote now from Tommy Rees. I have a lot of love for Jalen, a lot of respect. That's a great relationship there, but I'm not really going to expand on anybody in the draft right now. End of quote.
Okay, if you want to take him in the second or third round, I think there's a 1% chance this happens, but Cleveland has the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. That would make some people's heads explode, similar to Michael Penix to the Falcons last year. Who saw that one coming? That is an interesting dynamic, though.
It's unbelievable.
I'm going with Walter Football. Look at their projections. Shedeur Sanders, number 1 on their board.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, number 2. Jalen Milroe at number 3. Jackson Dart at 4. Quinn Ewers at 5.
See, the Dylan Gabriel thing was surprising that they had him so highly rated because he's great, but he's been around for a long time, so he's not as young as these other guys, and he has a pretty rough injury history, unfortunately.
They have Seth Hennigan of Memphis 1 spot above Dylan Gabriel.
Okay. Wow.
And Riley Leonard came in number 10.
I would think that him and Will Howard both made themselves some money during their playoff run of showing what they're capable of doing. And not that they're going to be viewed as starting quarterbacks probably, but they made themselves some money.
When we come back on 3-Man Front, we've been keeping you updated on what's going on in the great state of Colorado when it comes to Utah, about their hockey team. Remember the name? Remember that?
Yetis.
The Yeti.
Remember that? Got a little update on that. Some bad news
Oh.
brewing in Salt Lake City. We'll get into that next on Three Man Front. What 19, Jocks 94.5. Just saw a weather forecast. It appears it's going to be about 60 degrees next week.
Hey.
How about that?
Welcome back.
I know.
I'm going to wear a bathing suit to work.
I think everyone in our listening audience is applauding that.
I don't have to wear socks next week?
Oh.
No, you still need to wear
on,
socks.
Conrad.
No.
Come on.
This is the most days in a row I've worn socks in years, probably.
Didn't you, was it, you said that Paige couldn't wear socks or she had to wear socks? What was it?
No, she hates wearing socks.
Oh, she hates, that's,
like at home. Like we'll be at home and she'll be, her feet will get cold. And I'll say, go put on some socks. I just hate it. I feel like I'm constrained. Oh, well, they make my feet warm.
Yeah. Under the covers. Yeah. I don't want.
I don't like
want socks
sleeping
on.
in socks. That's weird.
No, I don't want to walk around with probably bare. I don't know. There's some people that make you take your shoes off. Have you ever been to a person's house that makes you take your shoes off?
Absolutely.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you go in there?
Yeah, Pat made us do that at his house.
Yep. Landrum was late. Landrum just came in.
No, I was
and-
parking the cars. And then I had to change out of my valet suit and put on my social Christmas gear,
Yes.
attire.
Your ugly sweater.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it was. How about our friends at Prize Picks? Download the app today. So many Jocks listeners taking us up on this, and they're winning. Yeah, you can win too. Prize Picks, it is your daily way to enjoy fantasy sports. Here's how it works. You go to Prize Picks, you download the app, you enter promo code WJOX. Your first $5 play, you're going to get $50 instantly towards your account. Whether you win or you lose, you're going to get $50 instantly. So when you download the app, you go and enter WJOX as the promo code. You play that $5 play, and here is how it works. Different player options that you have. So coming up on Sunday, we have the NFC and the AFC championship game. The NFC, you got Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. Right now, if you go to Prize Picks, one of their offerings that they have is Saquon Barkley. Listen to it, Conrad. 129 and a half yards.
That's incredible.
More or less. 129 and a half yards. You going more or less?
I mean, ride the hot hand more. If Jalen's hurt, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm going to ride the hot hand as well. But you can do that for college basketball, the NBA, all kinds of different options you have at Prize Picks. Download the app right now. WJOX is the promo code. $5, whether you win or lose, you're going to get $50 instantly. We appreciate the partnership, our friends at Prize Picks.
Okay, so we've had some fun on this show talking about the Utah National Hockey League team. And I don't know what they're calling themselves this year. It's kind of a placeholder type season.
The hockey club.
It's the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, hockey club.
And, some people said, just go with that.
Squad.
Boo.
Or whatever the case may
Lazy.
be. So they had a contest, and we've kind of shared with you throughout time all of these names that they were considering, whether it was the Mammoth, the Blizzard, Venom, Outlaws.
That's the one that was like, no.
Well, if you see the Netflix show Primeval, you will figure out real quick why they called themselves or wanted to call themselves the Outlaws. The other big name that we all thought would make perfect sense was Yeti.
Yeah, it's great.
Or Yetis, okay? So 6 months ago, it appeared that obviously the leading contender to be the name of the team was going to be the Yeti or Yetis. Well, they have tried to file a U.S. patent and trademark for the name Yeti or Yetis. And the United States Patent Office has denied their claim to be called the Yeti or the Yetis.
Oh.
Those wonderful coolers just had to get in the way, didn't they?
That is correct. They said that citing a likelihood of confusion with Yeti, the well-known manufacturer of insulated drinkware, bags, and coolers, and applied for a mark that is singular or plural of a registered mark is essentially identical in sound, appearance, meaning, and commercial impression, and thus the marks are confusing.
No, that's dumb. Because you have Stanley Cups and then you have the Stanley Cup.
Well,
That's stupid.
That's
I
a
was gonna
good
say,
point,
they-
Molly. That's
they
a
should
good
be
point.
the Yeti.
well, I was going to say the Utah Stanleys just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Well, they can be the Yetis because the brand is
They-
Yeti.
Yes.
So you could.
We already have the Stanley Cup.
What about Igloo? Are they available? They make a good cooler.
Can you not just work out a deal? It can be whatever stadium they play at, Yeti Arena or whatever, and then
This is
hand in
dumb.
hand.
They
The
should be
team
Yeti.
will now have until April to respond to the initial decision to deny their copyright trademark.
That was the first thing I thought of. We got
Wait,
Stanley.
okay, so they could name themselves that. They just can't copyright it.
Well, correct. And then at that point in time, I mean, it's the same problem that the Guardians had when they changed their name from Indians. Oops, they forgot that there was a roller derby team in Cleveland
Oh, I forgot.
that had been
about
called the
that.
Guardians for years, and then they had to come to some type of agreement. It was like, oops.
If we were able to work that out, surely Yeti. I mean, come on, we can figure something out here.
So the other leading options, Mammoth, Blizzard, Venom, Outlaws, and retaining the Utah Hockey Club identity, all have varying issues with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, ranging from simple clerical matters to more troubling concerns with existing brands similar to the ones cited for the Yeti.
I knew Dion Fine for all those trademarks was going to come back at some point.
Well, I would
Now
assume
we know what he's been doing.
I would assume the Dairy Queen Blizzard
Yep.
that is trademarked, so that could be a problem.
Mammoth, though, what?
Is there not? Wasn't there an
No, Mammoth Nation.
What?
It's a Mammoth Nation. That's a website that
Is that a foot website?
no, it's
One of
What
For
yours.
website?
abnormally large feet, and that's it.
but no, that's out there.
Mm.
What about the Utah Urn?
I thought you
Just-
said something
just
else
go-
for a second.
No,
Like, I don't think that one's gonna
no
work.
yellow ice here. Go.
Wasn't like the Hive one
just
of
stick
them?
it with the hockey club. I didn't have a problem with the Washington football team.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
Commanders is kind of grown on me a little bit.
Wasn't
I'm
like
just used
Hive
to
or
it now.
Swarm or like the Bees one of them? Something like that.
I feel like Hive was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, for the Utah?
Mm-hmm.
It's because a beehive is on their flag.
Yeah.
State flag.
Yeah.
I guess out of all those, if you can't go like Venom, like what's the problem with what does Marvel have a copyright? Probably.
Could you call yourself the Salt?
But apparently they
Utah Salt.
filed paperwork on all those names that I just mentioned, and there are problems with all of those in some form or fashion.
What about you do like the Utah Ice? That's kind of lame too, but surely you can do that, right?
So that's sad. I was all ready for the Yeti.
I was too.
Yeah. Be a great mascot.
There's a company that
Just
has a
can't have nice
comparable
things.
product, and it was started by United States veterans, and they're
Mhm.
out of, and this is serious, and they're out of the state of Texas. And the name of their product is, it's a cooler, and it's called Ice Hole. No kidding.
I like that. That's good. That's clever.
Very clever. We will do some Pat Ponders when we come back. This is Three Man Front, the Thursday edition on Jocks 94.5. Don't you get the feeling if they can't come to a resolution in regards to the name for the Utah hockey team that they'll just go with Utah hockey team? Or
That'd be
hockey
the easy
club?
way to do it, yeah.
I'm being serious because I go with the Smiths. Not a joke, but
Yeah, and then
maybe
maybe
you
you
get any
could,
blowback there.
yeah, and then I don't know, maybe make the mascot like a blacksmith or something to make it, because otherwise, be limited. I feel like.
Okay. I'm trying to help them out here.
No, and I'm sure that the people of Utah appreciate the help, and
Yeah.
hopefully they
I'm
get
going with the
this
salt.
situated. Yeah, that's. If I was a fan, I'd feel salty that I couldn't be the Yetis, but
Or the assault.
well, it's hockey, right? They get to assault each other on the
Yeah,
ice.
and we know that hockey, our salt can help you with ice.
There you go. Okay, maybe you're onto something there,
Okay,
Landry.
thank
Maybe you're
you.
onto something.
Thank you very much.
Well, I recommend this weekend getting into Twin Peaks and Hoover. As we discussed early in the show, you have a great slate of SEC hoops coming up. You also have the AFC and NFC championship games coming up on Sunday. But on Saturday, we do have the situation again. Alabama and Auburn both tipping off at 7:30 simultaneously. So you need to get into Twin Peaks and Hoover because they're going to have plenty of screens for you to watch both of those games at the same time while enjoying one of their wonderful beverages, a 29-degree man-sized draft, maybe some of their craft beer options. Check out their cocktail menu as well, all while enjoying their wonderful quesadilla tacos, some of their new wing sauces, their new flatbread options. They have all of that wonderful and available for you when you visit our friends at Twin Peaks and Hoover this weekend to watch some SEC hoops.
All right, let's do some Pat Ponders brought to you each and every day by Courtesy GMC and Trustful.
I wanna know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Go by and see the fine folks at Courtesy GMC off of I-459, exit 32 in Trustful, Edwards Lake Road, next to Lowe's. Question number 1. If you were starting an NFL franchise from scratch and you could draft any quarterback who led their team into the playoffs this year, who would it be?
Should we exclude Patrick Mahomes from this conversation?
If he made the playoffs and that's who you want to start a franchise with, go for it.
I mean, yeah, there's really
I'm going
no
Lamar
doubt.
Jackson. He's still hungry.
That's a good,
I'll
good
go Josh
answer.
Allen.
Okay, but are y'all saying that to be different, or would you legitimately take them over Patrick Mahomes? if you
Lamar
had to-
Jackson is still hungry.
I just like Josh Allen.
I mean, they're all
Not like
great
that.
quarterbacks.
What?
I love the fact that you guys were legitimate in that and kind of threw it back in his face a little bit because he wanted to, it's Patrick Mahomes.
I didn't know that you were a Josh Allen fan.
I think he's a good quarterback.
There you go.
He is a good quarterback.
I'll take the guy that's won 3 Super Bowls.
Okay.
All right, fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's your right.
Bring Kelsey and T Swift with him.
But for
No,
you to
no,
try to
no,
push
no,
your
no.
opinion on the other two during this segment,
Yeah. It's very chauvinistic of you.
Well, if we all thought like me,
everybody wear Tua jerseys
Yeah, no socks.
and no socks.
well, I mean, he would have been my choice, but it was players that got their teams into the playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah.
I couldn't
Step on
pick
poo
Tua.
poo.
No, I just wanted to know that y'all legitimately believe that. That is perfectly fine. I was just didn't know if y'all were trying to be different or not. Okay. Now we're in a standoff.
Molly's not putting her guns up.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
All right.
Ceasefire.
Question number 2. If the Bills beat the Chiefs, it will be mainly because blank.
Oh. Uncharacteristically bad game, mistake-prone Patrick Mahomes leading his team.
Interesting. Not because Josh Allen would outplay him, but because Patrick Mahomes
He
was
might.
just so bad. No, I'm just still trying to fit my narrative from the first question.
Okay.
You can go. See, now Molly's scared.
No, you're just being weird.
Yeah, you are being weird.
If the Bills beat the Chiefs, it will mainly be because blank. You
I'll
said
go-
turnovers, right? Landrum?
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes is off.
I'll go James Cook has a big game with the running game for Buffalo.
go Josh Allen has a big game.
He's a good quarterback.
He is.
Pretty good.
She's going to start her franchise that she's
Yeah,
going to
with
put.
Josh Allen.
She's going to put in Huntsville.
You just like Haley Steinfeld. That's what it is.
Who?
His fiance.
Yeah, they just got engaged.
Yeah.
hmm
You're not familiar with her music or her acting capabilities?
She was in Pitch Perfect, the second
She was
one.
also in True Grit.
Really?
True Grit, I remember that one. Never saw the Pitch Perfect. I know. All you guys have seen it.
They're pretty good.
Maybe we should come up with some movies for Landrum to watch this summer.
Yeah, Pitch Perfect.
Please
There's
no.
3 of them.
She's not in the first one, though. The first one's the best, and she's
Yes.
not in that one.
The first one was filmed at LSU.
It was.
Really?
Sure was.
I did not know that. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Do you know who she is now, Landrum?
Yeah.
Isn't she in something now? Like, isn't she in a TV show or something right now that's popular? I don't know. Because I'll be honest, I didn't know who she was until they got engaged. And
Okay,
then Paige
good.
and then Paige was like, "Oh, you don't know who Haley Steinfeld
I
is?" I'm like,
only know her from Pitch Perfect and some of her songs.
Yep.
That's it.
See, I didn't know that she was a musician at all. But
Well, apparently the fans have picked a favorite in the battle between she and Taylor Swift as far as players' girlfriends in this one.
oh, she's in the animated Spider-Man movie. Okay, that's what I know her from. That's a good movie.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
It's better than the regular ones. It's good.
Are y'all caught up now on
Yeah,
his fiance?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, question number 3. There are 12 states in the SEC footprint. If you were to rank the most southern of those 12 states, who would it be? And who would be the least southern?
In the SEC?
Yep. Of the SEC states.
Okay, of the SEC states, know that the southernmost, well,
Not geographically southern, I meant.
Oh, in terms of how? Oh, okay. I was like,
No, not
seems like it-
geographically. I meant like southern.
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 go most southern, maybe Mississippi.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I'd probably go Mississippi or Alabama.
Oh, yes, but I'd say Mississippi because of it's got what, about half the population of the state of Alabama?
Yeah.
And you don't have the melting pot, I think, is much diversity that we have, and especially with our bigger cities, Birmingham, Huntsville, and Mobile,
Yes.
namely.
Yeah. For least Southern, I'd go Missouri.
Yeah, I was gonna go Missouri. I don't feel like Oklahoma's southern either for some reason. I just
Did you feel like you were in the South when you were in Oklahoma watching Alabama lose to Oklahoma?
no, I did not. Felt like I was very far from home, Pat.
So you didn't feel like you were getting beat up by a Southeastern Conference football team?
No. Gonna have to get used to that.
Yeah, Missouri for me.
Missouri?
What about you?
Definitely the southern would be Mississippi. It's interesting because I lived in both the southeastern portion of the state of Missouri, which is definitely SEC country,
Totally different.
and I also lived in Kansas City,
Yeah.
and that
See?
is that is
Yeah.
that is a rock's throw from Lincoln. I mean, that is
2 hours away.
yeah.
I would also say, honestly, in terms of least outside of Missouri, it might be Texas. I don't feel like Texas is very southern.
I agree with that.
Like being, especially, granted, I've only been to like Dallas and Fort Worth and the bigger parts of the bigger cities, but it doesn't.
Texas is just Texas.
Yeah,
It's its
it's its
own.
own-
Yeah.
Yes.
How about Kentucky?
Yeah, but there's some parts of Kentucky that,
Or Southern.
Southern Kentucky.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, but like Florida, like Miami.
But then you get more of that Ohio mix that starts.
Yeah, but you get the Panhandle, which is like Alabama and Georgia
Yeah.
mixed together.
But like
kinda.
Miami isn't Southern.
No, it's not.
No. No, it's not.
It's
No.
not. No.
All right, so collectively we say Mississippi
Is
Yeah.
the most southern.
is the most southern.
And least southern.
yes.
I would still say Missouri. is
I'd go
the least
Missouri.
southern.
Missouri is
Missouri.
the least.
Yes.
Yeah. Missouri.
Missouri.
Carpetbaggers. Was it split during the Civil War?
Yeah, it was a border state. All right, question number 4. What is your favorite souvenir you've ever brought back from a sporting event?
Mine was the foam cheese head from Lambeau.
From Packers?
Yeah.
Probably the tears I brought back from Oklahoma.
That was your favorite?
No.
Wow.
I'm trying to think of, I mean, one time when I was a kid at my dad and a lot of his family are from the Baltimore area. And so I've been to a number of Orioles games at Camden Yards, and I caught a fly ball one time.
Hey,
Very
really?
nice.
Right. Okay, I didn't catch it, but I got it.
Oh, okay.
I'll say,
A little kid.
I have a ball from the College World Series, but my favorite, I have a little green Huskers flag that says like Nebraska and Dublin. That was really cool. So.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. Mine would have been the hedges I brought back from Athens for you. Because I knew it was going to mean so much to
That
you.
was a good one.
That was very nice of you.
Yep.
Very
It
nice.
is displayed proudly in my man cave.
Just another way for me to toot my own horn. There you go. Yeah.
All right, fifth and final question. For most people, public speaking is the biggest fear. Obviously, that doesn't affect any of us.
It's my favorite class in college.
The art of public speaking. It was fun. Michelle Moore was my teacher.
But what would be your biggest fear if it's not public speaking?
Just anything in the world?
Could be heights. Some people don't like to go to dentists. Flying is a problem. Bugs.
Wasps. That's
Enclosed spaces.
Not
Parking
even close.
garages.
What garages?
Parking garages.
Okay, that's, yeah.
That's her biggest fear.
I hate parking garages.
Hospitals. I don't like them. It's hard for me to even go in. Unless I just absolutely have to, if it calls for it, just even stepping foot in a hospital.
Well, I'm glad to know if I fall down another cave that Pat and Molly will come visit me.
I will video chat with you every day.
You said yours is wasp?
Yeah, oh yeah. Terrify me.
I also hate bugs,
Hate them.
but parking garages.
And specifically wasps. I would much rather be trapped in a room with a rattlesnake than like 5 wasps. Just
Really?
buzzing around. Terrifying. I don't know why.
Did
Well,
you
we
get
had that
stung
one in
as
here.
a kid?
I've only been stung by a wasp probably
So
3 or
it's
4
not
times in my life.
caves.
No, I'd much rather go in a cave than
Deal
be in a
with a
room
wasp?
with a wasp. Yeah, I know that's silly, but I hate them. Hate them.
See, mine is not. It's a different kind of fear, but yeah, it would be. Yeah, hospitals.
People are texting me in. Russell Latin Trustful texted me and he said clowns.
Yeah, clowns. Clowns is a good one.
That's a good one.
I feel
But
like
then when I
that's
got to a certain age, now I don't like clowns. Clowns are creepy, but I got to a certain age, I was like, you know what? You can overcome this fear. If the clown gets too close, you just knock him out.
See, and I feel like the clown thing is.
Which is probably not.
I feel like that's rooted in childhood, right? Like if you had a creepy experience with like a clown at a
yeah,
birthday
Barnum and
party
Bailey
or
Circus.
something.
There was one clown every single
Yeah.
year, and he found me.
See, that stuff never bothered me because I guess that wasn't a thing when I was growing up, like clowns at parties and stuff.
No,
Do
not.
you remember when it was a thing when people were dressing up as clowns and like going in the woods? Do you remember that from like 2016?
And doing what in the woods? Just like scaring people?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
Do you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep, that was a thing.
It was like the clown craze or whatever.
What? I
It
missed
was
that.
when I was in high school.
Okay, I missed that. Yeah, don't do that, people. That would terrify me if I looked in the woods and I saw a clown.
What about you, Pat?
I'm not a big fan of mice and snakes. Not a fan.
Well, you're just like Indiana Jones then.
Well, the snakes could help you with one of those.
I was
fears.
about
Yes.
to say, it's funny
Very
how
much
that
so.
works, isn't it? Or just get a cat.
Another one I just thought of is broken bones.
Yeah, y'all aren't big fans of me sending
No.
videos
Yeah,
to y'all.
no.
Those never go over well in the
By the way,
trash.
did you see this
No,
one?
stop it.
See, those don't bother me so much.
I can't do it.
So that one bothers you?
I'm scared to look. I had to delete his. I had to block him one time because he kept sending me them. So yeah.
I'll just send you parking garages now.
Hmm.
Now that you've told the world that your biggest
I don't
fear
like
is
parking
parking
garages.
garages.
Parking garages is, yeah,
She
you gotta
has
have
a-
that head on a swivel.
Yep, she doesn't have a very good history
I
of
don't.
parking garages.
I will say, Paige, because at the hospital where she works, she has to park in a parking garage, and it's like, I guess, semi-public. And there have been many times where she's been, hey, I'm getting in my car, like I'm going to call you until I get through the parking
Yes,
deck.
I
'cause
hate parking garages.
Yeah.
Everything about them.
I understand.
Get her a taser.
She needs one.
No, she does.
Yeah, she does. She has some mace.
Yeah.
Taser would be good, though.
That is today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
Very interesting texts that we have coming in. We'll get that and other news you need to know. 3-Man Front, Thursday edition, Jocks 94.5.
We will wrap up the show taking your text messages on the Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450.
Well, No Shoes Nation is headed to a new dimension in 2025. Kenny Chesney will be live at the Sphere in Las Vegas for 12 shows this May and June, and you could be there. So one winner will score a trip for two to this once-in-a-lifetime concert experience, including round-trip air to Vegas, a 2-night stay at the Virgin Hotel, entry into the VIP pool party, and 2 tickets to see Kenny Chesney live at the Sphere. To enter, text the national keyword forever to 95819. That's forever to 95819. Contest rules are available at jocksfm.com.
Text line is open 205-834-9450. The number you just heard. And you can always interact with us on the show that way. Back to the Utah hockey team, and right now in limbo because the copyright they're trying to get to name their hockey team the Utah Yetis, that has been met with resistance suggestions. How about the Utah Skinwalkers? Jeff in Tuscaloosa, thank you. I had no idea what a Skinwalker was. I had to ask during the break.
That's terrifying.
I was about to say that's one that Pat knows what that is, right?
Yes.
I was about to say
He was
because
the
that's
one who
where
answered it originally.
I was about to say that's where I heard it from the first time. Is you brought up some documentary or something about it?
Do the refs come in a package deal with Patrick Mahomes?
Hey, he said that he came out and did an interview or whatever, meet with the media, and said the refs don't help the Chiefs with their calls.
If I'm not mistaken, it's the same Whitecap and crew as they had in the Texans game.
Oh, boy.
No.
Maybe they'll overcompensate because they knew they got so much criticism, and the Bills will get more of the
Maybe
calls.
so. Maybe so. I doubt it.
Josh Allen's fiancée, Haley Steinfeld, is also the new Hawkeye in Marvel Comic Universe.
And she's also the niece of Bodies by Jake. You remember Jake? The
Yes.
TV show?
Yeah.
That's her uncle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know mine.
yeah, I don't know either.
Do you think he juiced?
Do a search.
What is it?
Bodies
Bodies,
by
by
Jake.
Jake?
Do you think Jake juiced?
No. It's all natural, my friend.
Genetics.
Oh, that guy. Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
this
yeah,
guy.
Yeah, that's her uncle.
Oh.
Interesting.
Damian Mitchell texting in the show.
Hey, Damien, what's going
Hey,
on?
D. Steinfeld also had a song titled Let Me Go Back in 2017 with a dynamic duo of Florida Georgia Line that may or may not have been played in heavy rotation at a college in Birmingham that's no longer operating.
That would be why I'd never heard of her music, because she collaborates with Florida Georgia Line.
Jake about biggest fears. Conrad said it was wasp. Well, he said he would rather be locked in a room with a rattlesnake than 5 wasps.
Yes.
What about 4 wasps? Is there a difference?
I don't know.
Were
I
you
might
here
still
the
take
day that I
snake.
killed the wasp in the studio?
Yes.
Did you lock the door?
No, I mean, we're separated enough
Well,
to
I
where
was
I
just-
was okay.
Okay.
I wasn't.
No,
Jake,
at my house, we have a rule. Paige kills a wasp if it gets in the house. I kill everything else.
Jake wants to know, what about a cave filled with wasp?
Okay, now that's the stuff of nightmares. We don't need to go that far.
Ronnie from Millbrook says his biggest fear, funeral home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very depressing.
This one rolling in. My biggest fear, Hugh Freeze is Auburn's coach.
It's been a hard 2 years then.
That's the coolest thing you've ever brought back from a sporting event you've attended. The coolest thing I ever got was Al Wilson's gloves after he caused 3 fumbles in 1998 against Florida. My uncle got me in the locker room. I went to his locker and the gloves off the bench, took the gloves off the bench. He came on from a presser and yelled, "Who took my blanking gloves?" I was scared, but took them back to them, and he let me have them.
Oh, that's a
All
cool
you had to do
story.
was ask. That is cool. We have to adjust the Stinky Fish Challenge for Conrad now. He has to do it in an enclosed room with 5 wasps inside with him.
I will do 10 cans of Surströmming before I'm locked in a room with 5 wasps.
Wow.
I should
Pat,
have
you'll
said that.
remember this. Drake asked, do y'all remember Homie the Clown?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Living Color?
Mm-hmm.
Homie don't play that. Love it. You got to go watch. Go back and watch it.
I will. Huh? I'll check it out.
Damon Wayans. It's great. Mike D and Jasper. My mom grew up in Chicago when I was 12. Went to visit my aunt. They took me to see Jordan play. She bought me an authentic Bulls starter jacket from the old Bulls arena.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool.
Never have worn it out of the house. Still in my mom's closet. Best sports memorabilia ever.
That's incredible.
That is awesome. He says he's also been at Soldier Field and Wrigley several times. I've been outside of Wrigley. I've been to a game at Soldier Field.
I want to go to Wrigley so bad. Wrigley and Fenway.
Never got to see Jordan play basketball. It's my regret. I've seen him play baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
I will say, I think my neighbor has one of the best sports memorabilia too. He has the real lineup card that was used when Michael Jordan played for the Barons in one of his games. It's like framed in his house. And like MJ, because I think he was a police officer and he was working that game and Jordan signed it and gave it to him.
That's
So-
really cool.
That is cool. What about the Utah Sticks?
Is it for the river in hell or the actual like a stick that?
I was thinking Tommy Shaw.
That was good,
And the
Pat.
band.
I was
That's
not
good.
expecting the river sticks.
Freeman says, I'm afraid of any amphibians.
Yeah, okay. I don't mind frogs. I know there's other
They'll give you
amphibians,
warts.
but they will. They will.
I was there when Jordan hit his first home run at the Barons game. Maybe that memory was the coolest thing ever. That's awesome. And Cody says, Wrigley is beautiful, but smells like you're watching a game in a beer can.
That sounds great. It's baseball.
My favorite sports memorabilia is when Auburn and MSU hockey clubs played in Tupelo, and I got the Auburn goalie's hockey stick that splintered during the game.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
Very
a rare
cool.
one.
Yeah.
That's a good find. Thanks for all your interaction today. Appreciate all of our guests. Sean Merriman, he got us started off, giving us his opinion on the NFC and AFC games coming up on Sunday. Rodney Orr of Tighter Insider and Brett Norsworth, the Southern Gentleman. All of that available at JoxFM.com and the Three Man Front podcast. Pat, we got a big show coming up tomorrow as well.
Absolutely. We'll talk some SEC basketball. Barrett Sallee, Coach Wimp Sanderson. Hope you'll join us. Paul Feinbaum's show is